What's up, people? Just gonna hop right into this. How you doing? No intro, no outro. Just coming in hot after that big win today, which is kind of cool to watch the boys back on the pitch. Definitely good to see. Big up Philly, Liverpool FC. Um, See you in the house already. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. Look, today we're going to go into this by really getting involved with what is the next stage of where we're going to go with this Liverpool team that is looking at two of its big players. Big up, Marquet. Two of their big players leaving the club and going and moving on. I'd love to see some involvement with the chat to, go over some of these things. Big up John Conway, one of the definitely loyal Red. I wanted to go up and see if we can kind of get an idea of what you're feeling, who maybe you'd like to see replace these players. Primarily, obviously going to focus on Fab, but Hendo's leaving too, and that's who I had slotted as being the predecessor to Fab. I'd like to definitely see what you guys think. And like I said, I just hopped right into this because, I've been wanting to get into more deep dives when it comes to a lot of these players and a lot of these focuses on these things and having your input as well. So let's just get right into it. I'm going to add this to the stream. All right. So let's just get into it. Flacco, Lighthouse, Dyson, Hoover, forever red in our hearts. Let's just get it straight. Let's give proper praise to this man. Look, 211 games, 11 goals, 9 assists, 7 trophies. How can you not say thank you to this man? You have to say big ups, appreciate your service, and we're honored to have called you a Red, and we appreciate that, the things that you brought our club and the dedication that you brought. This is what he's brought to us, fellas. This is what he's given to us. I mean, that is some cool little keepsakes to go along, Champions League, Super Cup, Club World Cup, Premier League, League Cup, whichever we're dealing with. I mean, we're looking at a real bona fide winner. Big up. But let's look at his stats. Now, look, last year was not Fab's best. It wasn't. It just really wasn't. What we're going to be looking at here is I picked up some stuff from FBref. There is a statistics scouting report, okay? And I have, and trust me, I don't want any spoiler alerts, but trust me, we're going to be getting into this just like you guys think, and they're on our list too. I can show you what Marquet is saying. Lavia and Tyler for Marquet. Philly Liverpool FC is saying Tyler Adams could be his replacement, which is cool. I'd like to see that. It's cool. Even I can see that. I think you're trying to say McKennie might be one of those options. But yeah, let's get into it realistically. All right, so let's look at this. We're looking at primarily. We're looking at these numbers of non-PG. Look, we've never looked at Flacco as being a goal scorer. That's just not what we've done. Big up Ravi in the house. Big up. And to be honest, that's not his role. He was a destroyer. He ended up playing that role to the T. I personally think that role today on many teams is not as prevalent as we like to think of it as. I know a lot of teams do have DMs, but a lot of the teams that have those DMs tend to have DMs that are more suited to being CMs, more suited to being, they are in a defensive, they technically are DMs, but they don't play, they're not looked at as being, the emphasis is, your defensive skills opposed to your ball retaining skills or your dribbling or your passing and those types of things, or maybe even scoring, So we're looking at these stats and we look at these things and look at how passes attempted, pass completions, those numbers, bad year for him. Really bad year. I used to have up on here, but big up. Anfo Uncle Rods. OG in the house. Appreciate that. And what it is that I wanted to point out is a lot of the things that you look at, if you look at the bottom portion of this, you'll see interceptions, blocks, clearances, aerial wins, okay? Those are more of what we're looking for out of our DM, at least if we're looking at it from a destroyer perspective. And again, I don't really think that Klopp's system is being solely reliant on a destroyer being in the fold anymore. I think he's starting to transition. To a player, needing a player that can play DM, of course, but can also be flexible to play other positions on the role. Okay. So I was saying this. The reason I'm saying this point is, let's look at this. Let's look at him throughout the seasons. Okay. Now this is courtesy of The Athletic. Okay. Now look at this. Now we're looking at these. We see that he's played a gobload of minutes. Played the most minutes last year. Go figure. Big up Baz. And again, I'm going to put the link a little bit later on and see if you guys want to. You're more than welcome to hop in to kind of like verbalize what you think or what you think of what we're going through or what I'm going to present to you here. So looking at these numbers, we're looking at the primary thing is he played the most minutes in 2022, 2023. But goals and assists more so last year with recoveries. And then it looks like 2020, 2021 was possibly his best year. Okay. Possibly his best year. More so 2018-19 for being defensive minded, but 2021 was possibly his most overall versatile year. It's a long time since 2020, 2021, it feels like, with the play that we've seen go and be the version of Flacco. But let's keep in mind this. I know a lot of people were slating him, really getting on him about this and that. I wanted to say and show you something, which is very, very interesting. And last year, especially, when you had last year, you had a circumstance of this. This was, again, this is from The Athletic. This is where you saw how Fabinho thrived in this new formation. Okay, look at how dramatically his numbers increased. And again, this is why when I hear all the people slating him or saying, "Oh, it really wasn't that big of a deal," or "Really, he didn't really improve," or "Oh, it was only this amount of games or that many games," or small segment price or segment sample price or sample segment. Excuse me. If you just simply look at this pre-April 9th and post-April 9th, other than like maybe interceptions and for obviously recoveries, okay, that went down slightly, everything changed for him. And it was simply because the emphasis of the club, the mindset of what the formation was bringing for that Klopp was presenting for this club, changed roles for everyone on this pitch. Everyone. Obviously, we're all up in in hallelujahs with the resurgence and the return of Trent. I personally think that all players on the team, DVD, whether it was Curtis Jones, all these players, you saw a resurgence, a real resurgence. Okay, and what I think and love is that we saw a resurgence, and it most likely gave a real assurance to other clubs that despite the fact that we were down, and I'm not saying all of us, because I personally wasn't down on Flacco, but I know that I tend to be more of the positive fan when it comes to our club. But I really think that it made a resurgence on his value. Let's just keep it real. Okay, let's just keep it 100. It really made a resurgence on his value. So let's look at it. So now these are like, I took a look and I was on a podcast yesterday, and I made this comment. I was on Quasi Bowl, big up Quasi, Quasi Bowl TV, and what I made was this point. I made the point that we've been connected to over 60 midfielders. Okay, now I'll show you some of the more prevalent ones that we've been linked to. Okay, so I've been linked to Gravenberg. Obviously, McAllister came to our team, but Barella, Gallagher, Lindstrom, Cope Miners, Anton Stach, Gomez, Tucciameni, Varela, Paulina, excuse me, Mount, Viega, excuse me. Obviously the Bellingham, boo. But anyway, big up Chris Angel in the house too. Big up, Chris. All these names were names that we were attached to in one way or another. These are more of the prevalent ones. The ones, if you do a Google search, these ones pop up as being the ones that we end up getting recognized for. And I know that personally, and this is just me personally, some names are cool. Some names I'm like, wow. Some names I'm like, that's not happening. And some names I was like, you know what? This might actually happen. And there's some names that weren't necessarily on this list, but I would love to see possibly happen. And I don't mean necessarily to be a replacement for Fabinho, but I naturally wanted to see us get a midfielder in this position anyway. So let's just break it off again. All right. So now this is the in-house solutions. These are in-house solutions, people. In-house solutions, okay? These are the P players that are on our club possible to do it. And what I did was I'm going to bring up their stats, and I'll bring up the statistics and graphics for Fab, so you can kind of see what we're dealing with in comparison. All right, so now what we're looking at here is let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Look, Bajcetic played well, is a talented player. I don't know if you guys believe it or not, or attest what I attest, but I believe that he's a talented enough player that he can definitely contribute to this club going into this next season. I am hesitant since he did just have an injury. He is young. He did just have an injury. You don't want to rush a player back. That's one of the main reasons why I believe that Flacco was not to his normal standard, because I believe that because of our reliance and because of his the need for him on this club, he ended up being someone that we rushed back into the starting 11, or just into the squad in general when he got hurt, and we just pressed him. I mean, I showed you those minutes. He played the most minutes he's ever played last season. That's even though he was possibly in the worst form. That's crazy. That's pretty crazy. I'll even pop off some of these things. I truly believe, Liverpool FC says, I truly believe this is a redemption season for our Reds. Everybody laughed at us last season. It's true. Very true. Marquez says, Liverpool 12th man, deal agreed between two clubs for Hendo, but Hendo not decided. Or I think he means the deals agreed between the two clubs for Hendo and Flacco, but Hendo's not decided yet. Okay. And I understand that. This is all with an if, because, deals can fall apart. Deals can get hijacked. Deals can get, just people can get have a second wind, or, like some type of, I just don't want to go there anymore, or maybe it doesn't feel right anymore. Chris Angel saying, Kamara, Dorsch, or Youssef are the 6 I'll be aiming to get. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I'll have to take a look at those. I have not really taken a real hard look at those players. Let me pull those up too. I'll pull them up and I'll try to add them to the list for you guys, because Chris Angel is one of the most knowledgeable people, and I'm assuming that some of these players are playing possibly in South American League, but He's he's the go-to for me when it comes to him. And there's another guy I deal with here in Arizona, but him and Willman are probably Willie. I call him. His nickname is Willie. And Chris Angel are probably the two people I go for the most when it comes to South American football. And go figure, they're both Colombian, which is my love. So big up Colombia. All right, and then let's see what else. Mark A is saying, or let's just go through some of these again before I jump into this. I believe this team is hungrier than ever to not only get back to the Champions League, but to challenge for the league again. I agree with that. Ryan G. Gravenberg is the name linked. I understand that. Besetic coming off a stress injury. I understand that, and that's where I'm getting into it. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to finish a couple these next three, and then I'm going to get right back into it. Gravenberg has really regressed and low in confidence. And then Chris Angel should be heading our medical department. Hey, he's got my vote. And no, they play in Europe. Oh, okay, interesting. That's very interesting. I have to definitely take a look at them then. But these are just some of the players that were on the list that I saw that are getting heavily mentioned, getting a lot of buzz for, and again, these are in-house. So these in-house, if you look at these statistics, look, man, MPG, obviously non-penalty, like we said, Fab's not a goal scorer really for us. We're not relying on that. But if you do look at some of his tackles and his interceptions and blocks, clearances, aerial ones, that's where I'm looking at it as being something that has to be the same, or if not similar in statistic wise, considering the role that Fab played, and especially since he played this role being that allowed for Trent to go so far advanced, allowed for some of our other midfielders to stay advanced in the formation. So you're looking at this, successful take on. That's promising. It's definitely, Besetic obviously is pretty decent at tackling and those types of numbers. We look at next. We're going to look at is, and this is someone that I've heard a shout for. Okay, and that's Curtis Jones possibly playing in this role. I don't know how you guys feel about this. Okay, I'd love to hear, but I think I would like to see Curtis Jones stay where he's at in the formation, in the flow of the formation. I believe I like seeing Curtis Jones being that alternative. I think to Thiago. I think he's really returned with a bunch of confidence, and that confidence has constituted into those really excellent numbers. If you start to really look at it in the last 365 days, look at all those greens. That's something that you have to take notice of. It's something I at least take notice of. And on top of that, you know what? It shows that he's we need someone to be a counter presser. And one thing that I like about Curtis Jones is that if you look at that tackles number, Curtis brings 2.85 tackles. That's even higher than your Fabinho. That means that he's pressing. His counter pressing is being effective. In that that's what that number means to me. Okay. But again, and this is something I agree with you, Mark A. Curtis Jones can play in the double pivot, but not as a lone six. Absolutely agree. I wouldn't want to see him as a lone six. But I would like to see him stay in the role that he's already been doing well in. I don't want to necessarily say, okay, here you've learned this role so well and you've performed so well. Now let's stick you in this new role and have you almost, learn by baptism by fire again. Not for it. So now, one other thing is Marque is saying is end of last season, Jones was really playing good football, and he was let off the leash. And I absolutely agree. I want to see him continue his if this is the role he's going to play and this is the role he's accepted, I'm saying let him live. Let him continue to progress on. So now this next name is someone that I know people might be a little bit hesitant on, but he has played DM before. He can play DM, and maybe, as long as we narrow the spaces, don't put him on such an island that I believe that we placed Fab on. That was the one issue with me. I think he placed Fabinho too much on an island, and there was just way too much water or space, around that island that he had to cover. Okay, that if that's the case, I don't want to see this next player play that position. But let's take a look at Thiago, because I would like to see, if this man's going to be a part of our club, I would like to see and figure out some way, some role, some place for this player to be on the pitch. You can't have a world-class, and I said it, yes, world-class player like Thiago, despite him having the injury problems. You can't have a Thiago on your club and not figure out one way or another to play him, okay? And with the exits of what we're looking at, maybe, just maybe, you'll have something on the lines of what we're looking at right here, which is, look, passes attempted, passes completions. Obviously, that's needless to say. Shot creation. Look at that. That shot creation is amazing. Albeit, if you play the DM, that number is probably going to decrease, considering that he's going to be covering different things or different aspects of the field and pitch. But I'd be interested to see this, because one thing we can say certainly is, like, again, people sleep on Thiago and think that he's not a good defensive player. He's a solid defensive player. He is a solid defensive player. Not saying he's world-class defensive minded, but if you look at it, interceptions, tackles, he understands the pitch. He has such an excellent football IQ. He's such an excellent football IQ that it resonates into being able to cover pitch or cover ground or cover players or be able to cover the role that he's being placed in and be able to really realistically excel in that position. We're taking a veteran that has played the position again and a senior player that possibly, who knows, if given the opportunity, he could possibly fill this role. Be interested to hear what you guys got to say about that. Because, we all see his passing and progressive carries and successful take-ons. I mean, look, he's got a better successful take-ons than Fab does. Okay, he's got better tackles. Okay, he's got better interceptions. He's slightly around the range where it comes to when it comes to aerial duels won. That's pretty decent when we're looking at these numbers. But again, these are all in-house solutions. Maybe they don't really wet your whistle, I guess, for you just yet. So that's cool. It's cool. So let's just get into this then. Let's get into our Dua Lipa section. Okay. Possibilities. Okay. Let's get into this. Let's get into the possibilities. All right. So Amrabat. Let's just look at it. Amrabat. How are you feeling about Amrabat? How are you feeling about Amrabat? Let me see what Chris has got to say real quick. Chris is saying we need a specific type of numbers we need a specific type of six. Klopp needs to find a midfielder that is strong in 1v1 duels and is capable of covering large spaces. Agreed. And that's what I said. As in too often, Fabinho was left on that island. Too much space, way too much space in between the players and such. They need to recover the ball, then protect it, and while they are in possession, in the possession system is set up so at six that wins duels, aerials, tackles, and tackles made and interceptions made. Agreed. So if we're going to look at these numbers and let's just, I'll keep that up for a little bit. If we're going to look at these numbers and look at that, okay, look, I don't know about you. I know I saw Amrabat play well in the World Cup. But, and I'm not saying he's a poor player or a bad player or any of those things. I definitely think he's got a dog in him. in that he likes to. He's got a good work ethic. Is obviously got a a reserve tank that just kicks in, that he can keeps his stamina high. It's these numbers though that really the reds on that chart really concern me. That concerns me. And I'm not necessarily sold on trying to purchase an Amrabat for, whatever it is, 30, 40, 50 million, whatever the number is. I don't have the number in front of me right this moment. But there's no way that I'm going for Amrabat for those prices. Just not. Just can't do it. So let's just move on for Amrabat. Let's just cross them off the list. And keep in mind, all these players, even if we do get them, I will support them. Even if I say I don't want them, I would still support them. Okay. Let's see. The 12th man. Would Amrabat be the only 6 we bring? If so, then it's a no for me. Absolutely agree. I think it depends on it, because look, big up, Sam Ah. Big up, Sam Ah. I would say like it's a no for me, primarily because I'm just not an Amrabat fan. Like, as in, I know that he plays well, that he does things that certainly are exceptional and everything else, but I'm just not sold on him being that replacement that pushes us not only over the top, but replaces a player the level of a Flacco. Let's just keep it real, okay? And again, let me see what he's going for. So I think I think that he's pretty high up there. So it looks like he's got a market value, this is all transfer market, 30 million transfer market. Yeah, I'm not sold. I'm just not sold. So let's just move on. So let's just move on, because like realistically, Amrabat's not going to do it for us. So let's move on. And the person that I think we move on to is possible, or that we're talking or supposedly looking at moving on, and has gained a little bit of momentum. Oh, okay. All right. Big up, Chainsaw. My bad. I haven't seen the Sam, but that's word. Big up, Chainsaw. How you feeling about this player, Florentino? He's been gaining a little bit of momentum lately. He can play. Apparently he can play. I'm not saying that I'm an expert on seeing the eye test, as so many people put it, on his play. If someone has, or someone does watch him play, I would love to hear what your comments are, or you can leave it in the comments, or you can, if you're watching this live, I would love to see your opinions on this player, because I started to warm a little bit towards him, but I'm not exactly all in on endorsing this move. If you look at it, those numbers are really engaging. Are we getting a traditional? Let's see what Chainsaw has to say. Are we getting a traditional 6, or are we getting a traditional 6 or a player who can mix it up at 8-2? I think that realistically, you know what? We have to be honest. We need a player that is going to be able to be flexible again. That word of being interchangeable, the word of creating fluidity to our pitch, to the team. I think that's one thing I can't stress enough. This team has fluid movement on the pitch nowadays. That's one thing I think that Klopp has progressed this club to, and not being so rigid with the positioning of the players, and allowing for these players to kind of like move and form and shape. be somewhat like Chris Angel's son likes to do. Be like water, So he's saying, Chris Angel, he's good, honestly. This is Chris Angel, and I'd love to hear this. Chris Angel says he's good, honestly, but he would cost an arm and a leg. Really, that's not positive to hear, because let's see what we're looking at with him then, because I know that I'm not interested in spending any crazy amount. Now, Transfer Market has him listed for SL Benfica as a 20 million euro market value. I don't know what we're looking at having to spend. I'd love if Chris Angel can tell us, that'd be great, or because I don't know what it is that we're looking at spend, or what the Benfica is looking at for his return, or for his service. But you look at those tackles, look at those interceptions, look at aerial ones. The man is a pretty. I mean, I know it's the Portuguese league, but still the same. Looks like he's a pretty healthy baller. Okay, and it looks like he's signed a release clause of 105 million. All right, then let's just move on. Let's just move on. Which is kind of interesting because he's been really, really hot in the buzz feed lately. All right, so now here's one that's been thrown out there as a U.S. men's national team supporter, and as someone that definitely sometimes has a little bit of a bias trying to get my U.S. men's national team players onto clubs, and especially the club that I would love. I am not as biased to put players on our club, to get embarrassed. And I don't want it to be not only embarrassed for themselves, but I don't want them to come on our to be a part of our club if I don't believe that they can contribute. Tyler Adams is a player I believe could contribute. He's an excellent player. You look at those, and these are Prem stats too, by the way. Big up Honesty in the house. If you look at these numbers, these are Prem stats. Premier League stats for Tyler Adams: 3.72 tackles, 1.46 in interceptions, 2.0 in blocks. Okay, clearances 1.2, aerial duels 63. Now the number beside that is the percentile that they're in. Okay, so that is pretty high numbers. And hey, the man has won the U.S. men's national team captain. He obviously has leadership qualities. He is able to really do. You could see a difference in that Leeds team when he wasn't a part of it. When he got injured, he wasn't a part of it. What does concern me is his injury. I'd like to see him see what he does in his recovery and everything else. I'm hoping and praying, of course, for other reasons alone, that he does have an amazing recovery. But that is something of a concern. Big up Jay Kismet, loyal Red. Big up. But yeah, I'm kind of cool on Tyler Adams. I'd love to hear if you guys think that he's a thumbs up, thumbs down. If you can give me a thumbs up on, put Tyler and say thumbs up, thumbs down, whichever you believe is the way you would go with him. I kind of give him. I'm leaning towards a thumbs up on Tyler. And I don't think that we would be looking at some crazy number for obviously a relegated team. But I don't think that we'd be seeing such a credible number for Tyler. He's looking at Transfer Market's got him at 18 million euros as being his market value. Would you do Tyler Adams for 15 million? Let's say it's 15 million GBP or pounds. Okay, 15 million. Is that a decent? I mean, hey, or let's do them for, how about for 12 million? And maybe we get them for 12, maybe 14. Taking the Hendo money and putting that towards a Tyler Adams would be a half decent deal, I think. So now let's just pass on. And I've got a few names in here, and I'm really cool. I appreciate everyone tuning in, and I appreciate hearing what you guys think. And again, if you all do is say thumbs up, thumbs down. Let's do it that way. If you feel the what it is that the players or whatever that you're feeling or not feeling. So now we're looking at this person has been on there. He was on our list earlier. I rate this player. I think he's a talented player. I don't know if we could get him primarily because I know that they, he's dealing with Bayern Munich is not an easy team to deal with when it comes to trying to acquire their players. They've got such a lock on the Bundesliga and such a lock on especially like German players. I know he's not a German player, he's Austrian, but German players or players that play in Germany, they've got such a lock on these players that when it comes to dealing with these acquisitions with Bayern Munich, it's uphill sledding. It's really uphill sledding. So he's rated at 28 million euros. That is, I think he's definitely a really good player, but I'm interested to see if that really amounts to anything because honestly, he's a talent. He's a talent, and obviously, you don't get to play with Bayern Munich unless you're a talent. That's obvious. But I really don't see this possibly happening, despite the fact that his tackles are exceptional, his blocks are good, clearances decent, aerial wins. He's not much of not going to win many aerial battles, and that's something again that Chris Angel pointed out as well. I'm not really sold on that. And let's see, this is about, I guess this is all about Tyler. Says Chris Angel saying he has muscular issues, though stats are honestly good. I agree. That does make a concern, especially in a system that's going to make him have to run. Liverpool FC is saying maybe Leeds would prefer to loan him. This is all about Tyler Adams. This isn't about Conrad here. Jay Kisner is saying, I should have gone to the game today after seeing LFC versus Hertha and Leipzig in the past. I'll try to get down to see. Oh, okay. That's him talking about getting to see the games. But Adams is slowly becoming an option. Just depends on who else we can get as well. I agree. I think he is. I think Tyler Adams is slowly but surely becoming an option on our list here. And I'm going to write down some of the a short list for all of us to kind of figure out, who it is that we'd like to see, who we'd go for. So Tyler Adams seems to have gotten some votes. Maybe I'll put together a poll or something at the end. So now moving on from Conrad, this next player is someone that just got injured as well. I'd love to hear Chris Angel's take on him. This next player, Kone. Yeah, I think hopefully I have Kone up. Do I have Kone up yet? Yeah. This next player is Kone. I think Kone is a talented player. I think that. I didn't put him up. I'm sorry. This next player, Kone, is a talented player. I think that he's not only talented, but has some real quality abilities in him that I'd like to see happen with this club. His injury is an issue. I know that it's not as bad as it was being reported initially, but again, and knee injuries, the sports science today, and Chris Angel could possibly. I know he has somewhat of a different opinion than I do, and he's more of a authority on the subject. But I know that the sports science today is much different than, let's say, the 80s or the 90s even. Whereas if you got a knee injury, it was all over. For the most part, it was over. Your career was pretty much done. But nowadays, there are people making resurgent comebacks from knee injuries. I also know that the knee injury wasn't as bad as reported again. It was supposed to be only like 6 weeks or something like that he was going to be dealing with the rehab. Kone puts up some really nice numbers. We're looking at some really nice numbers. I like the pass completions. Shows that he's a versatile player, can play both a facilitator and can play an actual defender and have defensive skills. I think that's really cool. But again, that maybe with that injury, we can get him at a discounted price. Kone, thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm kind of in between. Kind of leaning towards the thumbs down, but still leaning in between. So I know he's a quality player, and I know out of all those players, he's possibly the one that I was looking to, out of the ones that were possibilities, looking to sign the most. And I just realized I don't have Thuram on here, but when it was Thuram and Kone were the names being passed around, he was certainly someone that I was looking at being included in the involvement of our team. So let's see. We're looking at now. Let's bring up the next slide I have up here. Lavia. How are you feeling about Lavia then? How do you feel about Lavia? Lavia is tough. Lavia is a tough call because I don't like the buyback clause that's out there. I don't like the feeling that we're just going to be renting a youthful player that isn't necessarily going to be our player. I guess he has a buyback option, so therefore Lavia could be someone that needs some, and I believe he does need some more time to develop. Not saying he's not the finished article. Let's keep it 100. He's just not, but he is a talent, and he does have talent that can evolve into a really exceptional player. It's obvious by the interest of Arsenal and Chelsea and obviously our own club, and with the involvement of City still interested in possibly buying him back. But do you want to buy a player do you want to drop 40, 50 M's on a player that we're going to possibly use for a year in a role that we're not going to rely on him being the everyday starter? Okay. And then if that have a player that we develop and continue to help develop, all to see us have to basically get our money back as almost like a $40 million or $50 million loan of like utilizing this player for 1 year and then having him go back to City, a better player. It's the reason why I'm not fully in on Lavia. It's just the reason why I don't see it as being an option I'm so gung-ho. I know a lot of people are, but it's just not an option I'm really, really gung-ho on. Let's see what Chainsaw is saying. Placing Fab is much harder than I thought it'd be. Good options, but we can't sign injury-prone players. Agreed. The Iago injuries are insane, so we need a player that we can keep up, not let us down on crunch time. Absolutely. Chris Angel saying, I agree with your view. I just think the way we conduct and tackle sports science in the States is way better than how it is done in England. That's why they need you over there, brother. We definitely need you because our sports science team on Liverpool is not the greatest. But in England, LFC, for example, seems out of date. Let's see. And then Jay Kismet is saying, Fabinho and Henderson are leaving just like that. Two or three big signings have to be made right now. 400,000 a week wages saved off them too as well. Oh yes, 400K. Yes, absolutely. And big up to Jake Kismet. If you hadn't seen my broadcast yesterday, I went into the reasons of why a portion of why I believe things that we overlook sometimes, and that is the wage bill is huge. The wage bill is huge. Okay. Chainsaw saying, nah, he has potential. 12th man. Lavia is the perfect Klopp project player, in my opinion. However, again, I'm not saying he's not a talent. But what I am saying, and I'm not saying that under Klopp he wouldn't excel or be exceptional. But what I am saying is Why would we take on a player and spend, let's just say 40, let's say 50, okay? Okay, let's say 50, because that's what Southampton knows that 20%, I believe, of that fee that they receive is going to City, okay? So that's what, 12 million, or 10 million, excuse me. If we drop 50 million, make it easy numbers, okay? So 10 million off the rip is going to City. 40 million then goes to Southampton. Then not only is 10 million going to them, then they're going to say in a year's time, hey, great job of developing Klopp. Now we're going to buy him back. And we're going to buy him back for that 40 million. So in essence, we're going to buy him back in essence for 30 million, technically, because we just gave them 10 million. That's why I hesitate. That's why I hesitate on Lavia. Numbers great, potential awesome. It's just that it's that other portion of the deal, the money aspect. I know none of us want to be accountants and all the other extra, but let's be real. That's part of the game. It's part of what we're dealing with these days. So yeah, that's a concern for me. City can buy him back. Manchester City can buy him back. That's what Chainsaw is asking right here. Yes, and that is something that we all got to keep in mind. I'm not in the market to develop players for Manchester City. I'm just not. And especially if we're going to have to overpay to get him, and then we're going to give City a portion, and City gets a cut of that payment that we're paying Southampton, and then City can next year return to the deal and say, we want him back. Here's 40 M's. And then they have a player that developed under Klopp, a player hopefully that helped us, and but still the same has a player that's so well developed now that he is now going to make City a better team. I'm not down with that. City's good enough as is. I'm not trying to have them be a part of their inclusion. All right, so now let's just get into it then. This is another name that a lot of people have been saying. No, we can't remove that from the contract, unfortunately. And that's one of the major red flags on that contract for a lot of teams, and the reason why, despite that we are looking at them heavily, I understand that, but it's one of the reasons why I think that we haven't really pulled the trigger as of this yet. Gravenberch. How everyone feeling about Gravenberch? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Look, those numbers are freaking ridiculous. I think a lot of those numbers are a lot of the Dutch league. It's not so much more of his inclusion because he hasn't had much of an inclusion in the Bayern Munich team. That to me, though, is a red flag. It's a red flag. I'm not saying he's not a talented player, but the fact that he can't make his way into the Bayern Munich lineup, and the fact that he can't, considering such a highly talented player, is having an inability to find a place with the club, that is a red flag for me. That's a major red flag. Look, those numbers are exceptional. And again, comparative to Flacco's number, they exceptional all down the line. But I'm still, like I said, I don't believe that I would go for Gravenberch. And again, Chainsaw, you're right. I think he does fit into a Klopp system. I think that he is maybe some people might say a Ginny rebirth, or retread or regen, Jay Kismet is saying Gravenberch is okay. He scored yesterday. I get that. He's not. I'm not saying that he's a bum, or I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, if anything, you can't say that with statistics like that he's putting up, But I am saying that it does concern me that he's having a difficulty getting into this club, or getting into Bayern Munich's club. That's a concern for me. That's just simply. I understand that there's some really talented players on that club that he would have to like push to the side to do so, but I'm really not really sold on him. Unfortunately, it's a thumbs down at this moment for me. It's a thumbs down at the moment. Not saying that if he come again, all these players, they come to our club, it's thumbs up all the way for me. But for right now, it's kind of thumbs down. It's kind of a thumbs down. We're getting towards the end of this, so don't worry. I know it might be a little long, but all the same. That's what she said. I was joking. And again, Sam, that's what I said earlier. They're a difficult club when it comes to so many complexities in the hierarchy with the club, with the way the players are played, the way that they look at playing minutes for the certain players that they have, and especially when it comes to trying to make a transfer, they are not an easy club to deal with. They just simply aren't. They simply are. And now that they have a new administration now included in their club. I remember Gravenberg was brought in under the old administration, and now they have a new sporting director, they have a new president. There's a lot of these different things that are coming on. This is a player I'm interested in. How do you guys feel about this guy? He's really, I've really warmed to him. In my personal opinion, he's one of the players I really started to find as being a player I like. I will admit that his defensive measures aren't exactly exceptional, but he is a relative goal scorer. He is someone that does show some exceptional traits when it comes to passing, being able to score, and also the aerial wins and clearances and blocks aren't poor. They're average, if not above average. Tackles, interceptions, definitely not where I would like to see them. Certainly not the defensive-minded player that we all expect and everything else when it comes to the person that plays our DM. He's just someone that I've started to be interested. I've been looking more into the stats, obviously, but more so looking at some game footage on this player. Thumbs up, thumbs down on Coop Miners. Oh wait, let me make sure I showed that one. Oh, let me make sure. Okay. Again, this is Coop Miners. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't have it put up there for you guys. This is the player I was speaking on, and this is Coop Miners. This is the one I'm asking if you thumbs up or thumbs down. I think that Toon definitely has some interesting statistics, and he has some things. I've been looking more into his game footage lately, and because of the way that he's got so much green on that chart, that made me say, oh, maybe this is a player we should check out. But okay, thumbs down from Jake Kismet. No way, he's saying. And I agree with you. Scoring isn't important. Creativity is a bonus. We would definitely benefit immensely from. I agree completely. If we get if we did, I'm seeing it as, hey, you know what? If we have a defensive-minded player that can be creative, that would be pretty exceptional. Pretty exceptional. Let me pull up Coop Miners for you guys. So Coop NEIN. So come on. They want to mess with me, huh? So let me pull this up for you. What I do like, and this is again, he's a Dutch player. So to answer your question, he's a Dutch player, but he plays in Italy, I believe. Plays for Atalanta. He plays for, okay, Jake Ismet just put it in there. Yeah, he plays for Atalanta, and I think he's a decent player. I'm not gonna lie. I think he's a decent player. I think what interests me is because if you look at our team, we've had a kind of a sea change towards going from Brazilian players to now more so, I think, from Brazilian players to more so now the introduction of Dutch players, being included. I don't know if that's Pep's influence or not, but he's a 25-year-old midfielder, obviously plays for the Dutch national team. He's got some decent qualities. But hey, to each is their own, right? I'd like to hear it. So far it's a thumbs down on Tune. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. All right, we're to the section that all of us wanted to get to. We're to the section where hey, it's your birthday. It's your birthday. That section where we can all dream, right? We can all dream, right? So this is the dream section. All right. And in the dream section, look, I know this is crazy. I know we're 99% probably, 99.9% possibly not going to be able to get Bruno G, but we did put in an inquiry, which I do like. I do like. We put an inquiry in. These are possibly, I don't know if I have these in the order that, let me see if I have these in the order that I like the most. I don't have them in order. Okay. So hopefully they're in the order now. So yeah, I'm looking at Bruno G as my dream. I think that would be incredible to see him, come, be an addition to our team. So let's see. I'm going to answer that question too for you because, like, realistically, I had him in my list actually before, and I'm trying to think of what it was that we're looking at. How much they're looking for, because look, it was reported in May 31st of this year, for instance, Liverpool reportedly identified Newcastle playmaker Bruno Guimaraes as a top target this summer. Okay, I understand that we'll struggle to get Bruno into this club primarily because we don't have Champions League status as of right now. But realistically, it's a matter of hey, does possibly the influence of the Brazil influence that we have on this club, or at least had at this club, possibly get pushed back into getting him over the line? I believe in my segment yesterday, I had him at, my offer price was going to be, I think, 80 million for him. I have to pull up what I actually put him down as, but yeah, I believe I had him at 80 million as the target price for what I saw him being, as in the, how they say, what's the word for it? In America, here we have something where, like, you see a house and you like that house, so it's called the make me move price, and there's a lot of different cases of where of what you would like. What's the price that would make you possibly move for that player, or make you say, "Oh, we've got to do it"? Well, it's somewhat similar to what we've seen with Hendo and Fab, because let's not get it twisted. Those players were players that not many had going at all. So let me see. Yeah, I have this pulled up now. What I was looking at for my offer for Bruno, actually, what? I didn't have him on the list yesterday. That's surprising because he's my top choice. He's definitely one of my top choices. Let's move on to our next choice because, we've already, I think Was it Chainsaw that already said this one? Or no, Nico Barella. I don't know if anyone said that or not. But, Nico Barella is another name out there that people are trying to see, possibly get moved. A lot of people that had heavy interest in Nico Barella. I like Nico Barella. I think he's definitely a talented player. Again, this isn't in order per se. I thought I put it in order, but it's not coming up in order. But Nico Barella, great player, as in like talented offensively, talented in distribution and being a facilitator. Not so much when it comes to defensive-minded player. Okay, not so much of a defensive-minded player. So, and I don't even know if we would look to see him play that DM role. Okay, I think that probably not going to see him play that role. So I'm just going to pass by him real quick because that doesn't seem like going to be the choice for us. Look, I mentioned this is a player I mentioned yesterday. Frankie de Jong, baller. In my eyes, in my mind, baller. Dutch related, another link of why I like the player, because I do like the Dutch team. I do like a lot of the Dutch players. I do like the fact that Pep is, being a Dutch coach, has a mindset of forming a system that is around bringing out some of the best in Dutch players, and we've had a very good run with Dutch players. Look, Hakpo has really, really emerged as a talent, and that's really great. Obviously Virgil van Dijk speaks for himself, okay? But yeah, Frankie de Jong, beauty of a pick, beauty. But then you get to his wage bill. Frank de Jong, again, is making, I'm going to just round it off, is making close to £618,000 a week. So let's just move on. There's no way he's taking a pay. Even if he took a pay cut, let's just say he took a pay cut and said, hey, let's get a 50% pay cut for you, okay? 50% pay cut. We're still looking at 300 some odd thousand. That's just not going down. Move on. So now let's move on to Kimmich. I know, again, Chainsaw gave a shout for this one. I know recently on a couple of different podcasts I put out there Kimmich's name. This is kind of before people really even mentioning him. I'd seen some reports about him being a possibility and that him wanting a possible move and having a new challenge in his life. And Kimmich has always been a player I've rated. Kimmich is someone that I've really rated and would love to see on this club. Again, he falls into the same bracket as Frankie de Jong, and that is Kimmich is making £321,457 a week. I didn't repeat that. He's making over £300,000 a week. We can just kind of cross him off too a little bit. And I don't want to do that. I don't. There's no way I want to do that. But even if you're to say he's not taking a 50% cut to his wages, he's not taking possibly even a 75% cut to his wages. It's the reason why he's pushing for a move, but the only move that he can make happen, or the only move that he possibly sees himself playing at, is a Real Madrid. And that's who he's pushing to go towards. And I understand that because Real Madrid pays crazy wages like that. So yeah. Unfortunately, Kimmich probably not going to be a person, but those stats alone are exceptional. I would love to see that. I would love to love to see him be a part of this club. I think Kimmich on this club cooks. Not only does he cook, he is making this team go up a level by far. Definitely by far. Okay. So now we're done our dreaming. These are some gems in the rough. These are two players. I have two players listed here that I believe are players I would like to see. Now, I'm not saying they're replacements for Fab, okay? I'm just saying now that we already had an emphasis of trying to go out and get another midfielder as is. Even before Fab. Look, it's been reported and something that I've been contending as well on many different podcasts is that we had an interest in getting another midfielder on this club long before Fab and Hendo chose to do what they're doing. Okay, so if that's the case, and we were going to go in for a midfielder before this, and now with the exits of two starting midfielders for our club, we need a replacement. Plain and simple, we need a replacement. Now, again, these might not necessarily be direct replacements for them, but there's a player that I definitely kind of like. I've been pressing this guy's name a lot. I like Luka. I think Luka is a talented player. I've been watching a little bit more of the very limited, but certainly the footage that there is available for me to watch of this player. I have been really doing a little bit of an interested take or interesting look at this player. I really think that he's a talent. Obviously, I have him as one of the players that I rate. And look, he's Austrian, which is definitely cool. Could be someone that we would like to see involved in this team because he's a youthful player, and there's a reason why. Again, we've already been connected to this player. Okay, slight buzz. Maybe I don't know if it's agent buzz trying to get it involved or not, but the two teams that have been connected to this player. He's an RB Salzburg player, by the way. The two teams that have been connected, and RB Salzburg is a team that we have a relationship with, obviously. But the two teams that are connected with them are us and Newcastle. At least that's what's been reported. Okay. I like the player. I know a lot of people probably don't have a real idea of what the player represents or what he has to offer, but I personally think he's a talented player, and I think that there's a reason why he's being referred to as the new Modric. Okay, there's reasons why I think that he's being looked at as possibly that level of a player. Let me see if I can pull up okay. Well, I need to pull it up. I have it up already. All right, so we're looking at these numbers. Look, he's talented. Not the same levels in Austrian league. Obviously, he's doing well enough to be in a lot of those green categories. However, he's not so overly eye-watering when it comes to his defense. He's not overly eye-watering in any of his other statistics, but I do rate him as a player in potential. Okay, I do rate him as a player I would like to see be a part of this club and kind of grow with the club, as opposed and have it be that natural progression of saying you're no longer in the Austrian league, you're now in the Prem, and not only in the Premier League. Now, yeah, you're going to have to really make do with what you have to show and prove. Last but not least is Anton Stach. He's another player heavily looked at possibly for us. He's a player that I think is an excellent player. He's a player that obviously checks a lot of boxes for us. Interceptions, aerial wins is where I look the most. I think he's under. I'm not sure if you're saying. I'm going to look at some of these comments real quick. You put them at. Okay, Sam. I'm going to get to these comments in a second, but Anton Stach is a quality player. I think he's someone that I think isn't. It's a lot of the hoopla for this German player has definitely died down somewhat, but I definitely believe that he is a talented enough player on a club. Obviously he's on Klopp's former club, but I think he's a talented player. Really, really exceptional. 6'4", tall player. That's most likely the reason why, if you look at that of those statistics, 3.13 in aerial duels. That is exceptional. Imagine that, being able to have a player that can, obviously drop back into that back line to help with the aerial battles in front of our goal, but also maybe, progress forward when we get those corner kicks or free kicks to be able to, put the ball in the back of net by using his head. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's really, really cool statistic. Look at his successful take-ons, his touches. Again, this is playing in the Bundesliga, playing for Mainz. And he's an exceptional player. And we obviously, Mainz has a relationship with Klopp. They would definitely most likely do him a solid, possibly. But he's got some really decent numbers. Not saying he's some exceptional, talented goal scorer by any means. But he's decent at defense. He's actually excels at defense, and his physical stature alone differentiates him from a lot of these other players. And that's why I put him as these two gems in the rough, two players that I could see us, if we do go for him or did go for a player like him, maybe we get him and get him for a decent price. And not only do we get him for a decent price, but we end up utilizing him. Right now his market value is at 15 million euros. That's, again, hey, the 12 million pounds that we're getting for Hendo. We dropped 15 million euros or 12 million euros or 10 million euros for this player, for a 24-year-old player about to break into his prime that could excel exceptionally under a Klopp system, under a Klopp tutelage. I like it. I like it a lot. I don't believe. Let's take a look real quick. I don't really think he has much of an injury. Knock on wood, of course, but I don't think he has much of an injury status. His contract expires in 2024, so he's at the end of his current, about to come up to the end of his current status with that. I do believe he plays on the German national team, so he is rated. I think that he could be a gem in the rough. These are just my takes, of course. I'd love to hear your takes as well, but I think he could be a diamond in the rough. I'll even take a quick look since we got Chris in the chat. Let me take a quick look at his injury, and has had pretty much not much of an injury history. Being 24. He had one early in his career with a torn meniscus and was out for nine games missed. But other than that, it's been just him being sick. He had influenza one time. He was illness another time. The hip problem, I see that. I know we already went through the hip problem with Thiago, but it doesn't seem like it cost him that much of an issue, considering he only missed one game for it. So maybe this got a stinger or something like that. I don't know what it was, but that's what I'm looking at. So it's the end of my list. I am really interested to see and hear what you guys think. Let's get into some of these comments. Let's just go far back as let's see. Let's go far back as okay. We're not going to get into the MF, what the MF stands for. I'm sorry. But okay, so let's get into it. Jay Kismet says, imagine Kimmich and Trench in the same team. There's no words to describe the football they'll play. I agree completely. Chainsaw saying, tough man. We do a call-in show soon to discuss our new transfer targets. Yes, I am, Chainsaw. I'm definitely going to do it. It's something that's been asked. It's something that I definitely am interested. And if you want to stick around, hey, you know what? In this portion, I'm going to put the link in for some inclusions. If you guys, if any of you guys are out there, I'll do a impromptu call in right now. If you guys want to jump in and be a part of the show. So I've just included the link. Let's see. Sam, again, Chainsaw saying Bruno is worth 70 million. I agree, 70 million pounds. That is. I could see, again, I made the offer I was willing to make for him, or at least the offer I would put out there, considering I have my two top targets originally yesterday were Casado and Gavardio, and I had them at 80 million and 86 million. If we could get Bruno anywhere inside that price range, I'm all for it. Let's see. Again, Chainsaw saying we need a defensive midfielder. Frankie is, let's see, Chainsaw. Frankie is a 500,000 a week player. Even for a dream transfer, I think that's ridiculous. I agree. Hey, the numbers that I found on, I believe it was on Capology, was on at the 600 mark. That's how much he was listed as, at the 600 mark. And a lot of those things it's so bad. He's at such a high rate for his weekly that's the reason why, especially during the coronavirus segment, that Barcelona was like, we don't have the money to pay you. That's how much he was. Jay Kidman is saying is De Jong is the man. Always want him at LC. Agreed. I was preaching that preseason. This preseason, I was preaching that, especially when Manchester United was involved in the pursuit of him and the uncertainty of his contract, and uncertainty if Barca would even have the money to pay him or be able to put him on the roster. Yeah, I was all about that. But he hasn't really fulfilled his potential. Hasn't won a lot, and that's the Jong he's talking about. Chainsaw is saying that he thinks Kimmich is the best DM in the world. Okay. And that he would give him 375K a week. Let's see what else. Kimmich is also needs to leave Bayern. He's been there too long. He's actually gone downhill compared to how good he used to be. It's an interesting take. It's a very interesting take. Let's see. Kimmich played right back. Yep, he did. I don't know if he would play. I don't know how much right back he would look to be playing. You know what? Because there's another player that I was super big on, and that's Alphonso Davies, for instance. Now, Alphonso Davies, I respect Canada. I respect the fact that he's possibly the best player out of Canada. Okay, and one of the major hangups for him was he doesn't want to play left back anymore. Originally, I thought him playing left back is great, and him being versatile to be able to play left back, left mid, left wing. That was like, oh, all in. But lately, I've been hearing that he is one of the main reasons why he wants out is because he's uninterested in playing left back. Probably because he wants to get more involved in the scoring aspects or the goal portions of it. And he also knows that being in those positions tend to lead to higher salaries. Let's just be honest. Let's see. Chainsaw also says it all depends on which league they play in, but rough gems are too risky. Okay. I mean, they are relatively decently risky. I understand that. But for one spot on the roster, are you willing to put a player in just to see if he can develop? End up doing possibly, if it all works out or if it doesn't work out, doing what we did with Fab by bringing him in, making sure we have him, and then, placing him on loan, or possibly even saying something on the lines of bring him in. So, cool. I got two of my homies on the cast. So let's bring him in right now. Got Chris and I got Chainsaw. Big up, guys. Big up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you for sure.
Perfect. Big up, Chris.
Hey,
I love
man?
your opinions and your knowledge on these players.
Yeah. So let's just get into it. Thanks for coming on. Joining the show. But I was going to ask you. So out of that long list, I know it was a long list. I haven't gotten your three in there yet, Chris. I'm going to look them up as well.
Yeah.
But out of that long list, let's not think about the dreams, because I know the dreams are a high that's a high reach. But out of that list, who really resonated with you? You want to go, Chris? Chris, you want to go first, or?
I'm in this state, right? And this is a weird state because I can be very negative, right? But I'm trying to be very positive. I really am. I'm trying to turn a new leaf and be very positive. But it's very hard to be positive when I think it seems like Liverpool doesn't have a plan. And I say this because I think they weren't prepared for Fabinho and Henderson to leave.
Yeah, that I agree with.
So now we're in a situation where it's like we're playing catch up,
Yeah,
and I don't like it at all. And you mentioned it in the beginning of your stream. Is like we're linked to like 60 midfielders, and
yeah,
to me, it doesn't sound like a plan to me. It sounds like they're scrambling for an answer,
right,
and I'm very
right.
worried. One because I think the names that I think I hear a lot is Amrabat, Lavia. I think those are the two main ones that I've been
Hmm.
hearing a lot. That they've been there since. I think Amrabat's been there since the World Cup, and then Lavia's been there since the beginning of the transfer window, right? And they're not
Right,
going away. And one of the reasons why I'm not okay with Amrabat is because if we bring him in as say the lone six, um, because I think it was you that mentioned that. I think a couple of streams. I don't know what channel you were on, but I was hearing you in regards to. I can't believe I'm actually agreeing with you on this one, but losing Henderson and Fabinho age
hmm.
wise, experience wise, leadership wise is going to affect us.
Bad. Don't feel bad to
It's going to affect. It's going to affect us, right?
to
So,
agree with me on some things. Don't feel
right.
bad.
So, so it's going to affect us, right? Whether we like it or not, whether we deem Henderson and Fabinho to be
Right,
up there in the levels, is the age gap is too big. I think there's no mid
right,
age player in our squad, to be honest. So if we bring in Amrabat to
right,
kind of be that middle age, but then he leaves for AFCON for 2 months in the crucial
right.
time,
Oh
which is
yeah,
December and
absolutely.
February, December and
Yeah,
January, we lose leadership in that sixth position. So to me, it
yeah,
doesn't make sense. And then we're also losing Mo for AFCON as well. So
right.
to me, it's not. I don't think it's a smart move. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
I agree with you on that. I'm out on I'm totally out
Amrabat,
on Amrabat.
yeah,
Amrabat's off the
Amrabat.
list for me. I'm not interested in it. Your point is really, really well taken in the fact of AFCON is a concern as to, bringing a player that we're supposed to be filling in as a starter and now having him be a player that we're going to lose for AFCON now. It kind of creates a whole nother, can of worms for us. And that's something
Exactly,
that
and
I'm not
and I think
interested in.
also if we do that right, and then we lose Mo as well. Now we're moving.
Right.
Let's say, for example, we're moving Dom to cover him for that month. Then who's going to cover Dom in the midfield? You know what I mean? Is this too much
Right.
missing variables in the equation that is kind of like I don't know. I don't know. I know people have been talking about Kimmich. The thing about I'm worried about Kimmich is that he has too much mileage in his legs.
Mm,
I think
mm.
it's a risk now. I think maybe 3 years ago we could have gone Kimmich. I think right now is just he's 28 years old, which is not a bad age. It really isn't. But it's the fact of he's been playing high level football for a very long time at the highest level.
Mm.
Um, and he's been holding it down himself. So I don't think realistically I think we can get him, but I don't think it's a smart move. Um, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. So what about you, Chains? Oh, I was gonna say, what about you, Chainsaw? Do you
Yeah, go ahead,
you
Sean.
um do you agree?
I
Are you out on Amrabat as well, or
I wouldn't mind him signing, but I agree with Chris that there's no plan. But my question back to you, Chris, is when did we have a plan? Because we
Yeah,
should have signed these players last season and the season before that.
agree.
So this is all catching up on us. And obviously, we can't predict about Saudi League buying Henderson and giving him 700k a week. But a top club should be run properly with structure and emergency plans that are
Hmm.
already in place. So they should have scouted these players and said, okay, if Henderson just goes for whatever reason, we have this player we could sign. Or if Fabinho goes, more importantly, because he's a more of an important player in the team, they should have had a plan for him definitely. Like
Exactly.
if he decides to, say I don't want to play for Liverpool now, for whatever reason, say I want to play in Italy or wherever, they should have already had someone in mind to come in. So, and we also, if I recall, Milner wasn't meant to leave this summer. Well, Klopp didn't want him to leave. So
Mhm.
technically, I don't think the whole team is together. There isn't a plan where the owners and the management are together in this, in my opinion.
There's a
Hence why it looks,
like there's a gap, right? There's like a gap in
yeah,
communication.
exactly. Because if it's true that Klopp wanted Milner to stay, then that clearly, and the owners were like, no, he has to leave. Then clearly already we've got some sort of gap, communication collapse that needs to be sorted. So, I mean, I like Lavia. I know 12th man, you gave your opinion on him, and you said you wouldn't go for him, but for me,
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
perfect Klopp project player. I know Klopp's only got 3 years, so you can't rely on a project. But when I see Lavia, I'm like,
Mhm.
this Klopp can make him into magic. And I know
He has the goods. The kid has the goods.
exactly. The City thing did throw me off though. That
Yeah,
City,
I didn't know. I thought if you buy a player, like even
you
though
put
he
the
had even though he had
No,
like a
that does.
buyback clause,
It's still. Even though there's a buy, so the original contract has a buyback clause in it. So even though you're transferring him to another club, that buyback clause still stays a part of that negotiation or a part of the new contract, regardless, because
that's
you
crazy.
can't because in essence that would be like almost like if I was Liverpool and I have a buyback clause on Fab, for instance, with RB, right? And let's say we sold him to RB, and then RB goes and sells him to Bayern Munich, right? Well, our contract agreement is still in, even though you sold him, which you can do as being the placer, our contract still is binding that buyback exists or buyback stays, despite the fact that you sold him to another club. It still is a binding portion of that contract.
Wow. That but then why would Liverpool go for him? I don't know. Like there's no way.
So
Like
you feel me now? You feel what
yeah,
I'm
like
saying,
what the
right?
hell?
You feel what I'm saying? Chainsaw, do you feel too? You understand what I'm saying? By that doesn't really that doesn't smell this past the smell test, I guess you call it,
there must be something in the contract where if Lavia says he wants to stay at that club and he doesn't want to go back to City, then maybe there's that kind of thing in the clause.
Well, yeah, he
Where
can always. I think players can always reject contracts, right? They don't have to like go if they don't want to go.
yeah. So that's why
I,
Liverpool are going for
I
him.
think though he will go. That's his
I,
academy team. I think he
I
will
gotta look
go.
it up.
I think he will go. That's the thing about it, is that's his academy club. So that's something of like he has a connection to that club, and that's most likely that could have been the reason why he accepted the loan deal or him going to Southampton, was because that buyback option was always a part of it, and that meant that regardless of how he played, chances are he would at least have an opportunity to play for a major club. No disrespect to Southampton, but play for a top tier club. So that's
If not Lavia, then Ryan would be my next option if we went for him.
Gravenberch. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Again, I saw your opinion. I do agree with it.
Right.
You are convincing, but it's difficult to pick the right choice to replace Fabinho because you forget how much of a monster he was in our team.
Yeah.
And we're only going for potential players with great potential. No one is certified, and we need someone that's certified to help us not win the league, because I don't think we'll be able to do that, but at least challenge.
Right. But are you looking it up right now?
What the hell am I reading? They're using houses as an example. So it says, for example, A sells a house to B, and in the contract inserts a buyback clause. Now, when B wants to sell the house to C, he cannot do so before asking A. A has the first option of deciding whether he wants to buy back his house or not. If A decides to buy back the house, he would have to pay a certain fee stated in the contract to B to get back the property. If A declines, B is free to sell the house to C or anyone else for
What?
Yeah,
yeah, like what the hell? Why are they
that's a
using
lot. Dude. That's a
I'm
lot.
lost.
yeah, that's too much variables. Like why are they using? Okay, but it looks like okay. So it looks like we need ace. Like okay, we can have an agreement with Southampton,
Right.
but we have to have an agreement with Man City as well.
To take that portion out of the contract, yes, I believe
Yeah,
so.
there has to be an agreement there. But
Yeah.
then I read that Lavia's buyback options only valid until next season. Like next season is the
Yes,
only
yes,
option.
they have to act on it next season. And if they don't, then that option goes away.
Okay.
But the chances are, let's say he comes to our club and does well, they're going to take him back. One, they're going to take him back just to screw us. But two, because money's no big deal to them. But two, portion of his contract is set where they get 20% of whatever fee that Southampton gets. Yeah,
Isn't it 10%?
That's a smart ass move. I ain't gonna.
I believe it's 20%. I believe it's
20%.
20%.
That's a smart move right there. They
But-
did it smart.
Tough, man. But Man City have got the 101 charges. If Liverpool and their owners say to Man City owners, we'll defend you, we'll back you, we won't go against you guys, then if Lavia does amazingly, then behind
Right.
closed doors, we could be the big club that doesn't attack City for their transfer shenanigans. So we
Right.
could play it like that and say, look, let us have Lavia and we'll support you. Because
Yeah, we hold.
when we tried to do the Super League, remember, it was United and Liverpool in the English Premier League trying to spearhead it.
Mhm.
So if Liverpool and Newcastle join Man City and say, we're going to spearhead defending you, then
Mhm.
let us have Lavia. If he balls out, he's our player.
We got to play poker, man.
Exactly.
I have a quick question for you, Chris.
Yeah, what's
you
up?
said Mohamed Kamara, right?
Mhm.
There's two Mohamed Kamaras.
Salzburg.
Okay, the Salzburg one. Okay, I'm gonna do a look for him.
But if I'm
Because,
correct,
yeah, there's
if
one.
I'm correct,
There's one that plays he's Guinea, and
Guinea.
he's
Yeah,
from Guinea. He's
yeah,
Guinea.
Guinean, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give a look for you to see
Yeah,
what
but
he's working with.
yeah, I don't know, man. The situation,
He plays for
Other-
Salzburg. Okay, wait,
Yeah,
because there's
a lot
one
of-
that plays for Roma. That's why.
no,
And
not
that one that player is different.
yeah, he's different. Yeah, he's different.
So it's the Salzburg, Red
Yes.
Bull Salzburg. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll take a look.
Yeah, but
But go ahead.
the situation is very weird, man. I don't know. Like I think we left the situation too late. Like preseason is upon us. Now we're gonna bring in a player and he's not gonna be in preseason. He's not gonna start. He's gonna you know how Klopp is in regards to embedding players in. Like we won't see him in the squad playing a role until what? November, December?
Exactly. And this is the most
Right.
important
Yeah,
preseason
absolutely.
on the club's era.
So
Because
I don't know.
there's no international tournaments this summer. So this would have been, or no major international tournaments. So this would have been the perfect time to embed the new player.
Now wait,
or new
isn't
players.
that real quick too? That Mohammed. Yeah. It would be. I agree with that. I agree. But it would be what I was going to ask real quick though is that look. So I'm going to bring up Chris's choices. Okay. Let me see if I can do this right for you. Hold on. And do you want to see them next to Flacco, or you want to just see them in general? What their numbers
next
are
to
looking
Flacco,
at?
next to
looking
Flacco and stuff. Because I was recommended those players and stuff,
Okay.
and I started watching some clips on them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, in that case, give me 1 second. Let me get this set up for you then.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm very worried, man.
I
I'm
just
very
think-
worried.
Yeah, I get your concerns. But can't you see? And I'm not. This isn't me trying to be FSG's, apologetic, apology or PR apology session. But I think all these clubs are getting hit because, because City, despite the fact of what you're hearing in City's circumstances, they've gotten hit by the Saudi Arabia, raid of players as well. I mean, there's some really exceptional players, senior players, role players that have leadership roles on their club that are leaving. It just so happens. I mean, money talks, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't agree with that, Chainsaw?
Oh, I agree with that. 100% agree with that.
Yeah. So I mean, when it comes to a lot of these things, I'm cool with like I'm definitely cool with how we're seeing it. I don't know how to put it. Like I was seeing it as like, yeah, we didn't plan, which I can say agree. You know, I would have liked to have had a better plan in motion to ward against if this were to happen. But did anyone see this happening? Did anyone see us losing our vice captain and our captain in the same window?
I kind of did.
I wanted it to happen. I didn't think it was gonna happen.
No, I wanted it to happen, but I thought the season was so bad that I think we were going to go through a whole set of changes. The only question mark for me was Klopp. That was the only question mark, whether Klopp would allow all of these changes to happen. But I think the ownership and the people above would love this to happen because of how disastrous last season was. And the amount of free transfers we're getting. We have to remember we're losing players on free transfers at a ridiculous rate. So 12 million for Henderson is amazing for our owners because you can't get more than 12 million, unfortunately.
How about the Fab? I think the Fab is more amazing, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah,
I think the Fab is more amazing that we're getting back. We're getting back basically the money that we spent for him originally.
Yeah, that's an amazing piece of business. That's amazing, yeah. But. What was Henderson though? Henderson wasn't expensive when we brought him a decade ago.
Henderson was not expensive when he initially came.
What is he like? 20 million back in the day?
20 million. So yeah, that's amazing business as well. That's 52 million or roughly from these two players, and we should be able to get a solid number 6 now. And we've already got 2 new midfielders.
Yeah, I mean,
and we got Curtis Jones, which is.
I would hope.
Well, we already got what's the guy's name? So I can't say his name properly.
Dominic,
and we already got McAllister, and we've got Curtis Jones, who looks like he could be serious this season coming. If we get a number 6, I think we're complete in midfield.
It's looking like 18 million euros. Right. No, I was going to say real quick, 18 million is what we paid to Sunderland. It looks like the fee was 18 million euros.
What would that be in pounds?
So to take basically because that's euros too. And I know that we just got 12 million pounds. So that's about close to 15 million euros or something like that, right? Doing roughly. Quick math, obviously. Yeah. So that's a 3 million. So to say that I think we got a decent amount of value out of this player, you know. To say
13 years or 11 years. Henderson, which is ridiculous.
We paid a good little money for him back in the day and stuff. That's a lot of money back in the day, isn't it? Like 10, 15 million? Like 15, 20 million is a lot for a player back in the day.
Yeah, I'd say so. For sure.
Yeah, like back in the day.
I would also say we didn't predict Steven Gerrard will be managing in Saudi Arabia, which then snowballed Henderson leaving. And I know we should prepare for everything, but I think this is one of those wildest of cases possible. But it's happened, and we have to act, and we're acting too late again. And let's just hope we do sign someone, or else we have to wait until January transfer window and try to rescue our season again.
Yeah, we have to bring someone new in the door by this week. I don't know what they're waiting for. Apparently, I read an article. There was like a Twitter article, pretty much that. Regardless of who goes, we're gonna bring someone in, regardless of who goes. So, where's that person at? And if the plan is to,
I stated that, for sure.
Yeah. So if the plan is to bring a midfielder in, regardless of who goes, then with Fabinho and Henderson leaving, you can bring in other midfielders. You can bring in 2. So, I just want people in the door, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like I don't honestly, I don't think.
Yeah, I get that. I'm not. Yeah. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know, I just don't think for this season. Like I don't think we'll win the league, but I expect us to win all the cups. That's that to me. I think there's too much change right now in the squad. Too much people leaving. the uncertainty of who's going to come in. I think for us to demand us to win the league, I don't think it's realistic, but I think it's realistic for us to win the cups, to win the Europa League, and go
Mhm.
from there. To be honest, like anything other than that's a failure to me, in my opinion. So
But Chris, what would happen though if you don't win any of those trophies? Though, what would be the
Klopp has to go.
repercussions?
I think Klopp has to go.
Ooh. Even if he
I,
gets less second in the league,
second and no. Oh,
so because it will be roughly challenging. I just wanted to
so
make
so
sure.
so that's the thing, right? So in that in okay, second and then um
But no trophies. Well, there's no context behind the second. We just finished second, and there's no trophies
no, I can't. I don't know. I can't like
because it'll be mad to sack him in that situation.
in that situation. It would be mad to sack him, right? But if I don't know, I just had this like this mindset of like we have to win the trophy. We have to win trophies. Like to be honest, to be honest, like we're in a luxury now, right? Where we're technically we can. It doesn't matter where we finish, as long as we win the Europa League, because we'll get Champions League.
Exactly.
So it's like I would much rather win the Europa League than to finish second and not win nothing.
But Chris, the reason why I asked that question is because in the this is like almost a year ago when I was on Kopish, I said if Klopp doesn't get fourth, he need and no trophies, he needs to leave.
Mm.
But now
You said
you
that
fast
a season before, a season ago.
no beginning of last season because
Okay.
I said to Matt that I think we're going to win the league, we're going to win the Champions League because Klopp promised us, book your tickets for the final. And then a week later, I was like, okay, we might not win the league. We just drew to Fulham. And then after that, I was like, okay, Klopp, just make top four and you're fine. He came fifth and won Europa League. And for me to say Klopp out right now, it seems a bit mad. I don't know why, but it feels mad to say he needs to leave right now. So I'm giving him this one season, and if he gets no trophies, my opinion is he should get sacked, even if he comes second, even if he's 1 point behind City. I know that sounds mad, but I'm sick and tired of not winning.
That sounds a little. Yeah.
No.
That sounds a little bit bad.
There's a method to the madness because I don't think most of these players like Van Dijk, Salah could last another season being 1 point behind City. They would be like
Psychologically, it would. Yeah, you got to think about it too.
it would destroy them.
Physically, psychologically too. I think it gets to the point where, it gets tiring. You know what I mean? Like you can tell the physical
Strain.
aspect, the physical strain that Van Dijk has. Like there was a point in I don't know if you guys remember the game where I don't know who we were playing against, but Van Dijk was running after someone and he just stopped and just gave up. That to me, like I'm like, what the like? Excuse my language. What the f was that? What are you doing? Why'd you stop like that?
Yeah,
That's
I remember.
that's crazy. That to me is like, what the hell's going on? And then
Right.
we concede from that, and it's like, and I know as fans, right? Because I'm guilty of that too. That's why I'm trying to be positive and stuff. And it's like we ridicule these players and we beat them, like we really do, and we'll beat them and we'll beat them and we'll beat them, and social media we'll beat them, and it's like, bro, they're human beings too, man. And
That's promising to hear you say something like that because often a lot of people don't look at them under those pretenses. They look at
like
them
no, and we do that
as
as
they're robots.
Yeah, and we do that as fans, and I know, and trust me, I want to win. Like it felt so good winning the league. It felt so
That
good
was
winning the
crazy.
championship. It was an amazing feeling. It was like ecstasy, but it's like I think the management team. I think FSG they failed. They have failed us. I think in regards to having a plan and executing this plan. I think like it just doesn't make sense for Fabinho for like 5 to 6 years to hold the sixth position by himself with no cover for 6 years. That's neglection at its highest order. Like it just doesn't make sense to me to like winning the
I get
Champions
what
League.
you're saying. I get what you're saying.
You know
And
what I mean?
it doesn't necessarily correlate to.
Is it frozen?
Mhm.
Oh,
I think it froze a little
No,
bit.
I'm there. I'm still there.
Oh,
I
okay.
froze
Okay.
for a second. Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
No,
would say
I'm pulling up your. I'm pulling up your. I have your stats ready to go too as well.
Okay.
I would
But yeah, but go ahead, Chainsaw. What were you gonna say? And then I'm gonna put up the
I would
stats
say
and ask some questions.
but that's where when Chris said there has to be a trophy. If we win one trophy and come second, then Klopp could stay and those players could celebrate something. There is something to celebrate. But coming second by 1 point and losing to City, I think the senior players will lose it. Allison's, your Salah's, and so forth. So we just need that Europa League, and I think it's the easiest trophy we could win because we could focus on it hard and
Yeah.
make sure we
Mhm.
win it.
We
And
have to. Like, I'm sorry, we have to win the Europa League.
yeah, we
We
have
have
to. There's no.
Yeah, we have to. Like, if we don't win it, that to me is like someone needs to lose their job. I don't
if
care
we
who
if
it
we
is.
don't win the Europa, that's yeah, that's an insult. That's
Oh,
insulting.
Yeah,
but
it
if we
is.
win
Like,
the FA Cup or League Cup, I mean, I don't think we need to sack anyone. If as long as we win a trophy,
I don't.
maybe not the League Cup.
I don't know. I don't know because like I think 12 man could attest to this. I think in regards to selecting the groups for the Europa League, we're so high in the rating in UEFA that we're in pot one because of how high ranked
Oh wow!
we are in UEFA in regards to like
Oh, the
Europa.
coefficient. Yeah, our
Yeah,
coefficient is 99.
we're like
So
the highest. We're
we're
the
the
highest
second
ranked.
highest. We're the second
Yeah,
highest in
the Europa
behind
League.
City. Or in the
Yeah,
Europa, we're
we're number
missed
one.
by.
I think we're
Yeah,
number one.
yeah,
So that means to me, we need to win it.
yeah,
You know what I mean, so there's no excuse to me that there isn't. So honestly, I
yeah.
don't like to be honest. I see the season as more of like we're letting a lot of the old guard leave. We're bringing in new players and bet them. It's
Yeah.
time to try different tactics, bring in players, rest players, and try different formulas. But we have to win the Europa League, in my opinion.
Yeah,
That
and this what Robbie's saying here is relevant in that it depends if we play mostly the youth and bench players in Europa if we take it seriously. Because I know that we're most likely not going to play two completely separate lineups per se, but I think that there's a chance that it will be a heavily augmented lineup as opposed to what we're used to seeing. Because yeah, there's a bunch of different things. I have actually I'm waiting for the pools I'm waiting for us to get our groups basically to do a show. I have a show ready to go for
Okay.
that, but like that's the primary thing of where and what I want to see because I personally think that depending obviously on where the Champions League pool, how those pools round out, we could easily see three of the four clubs that made it from the Prem in the Europa with us, in my opinion. And realistically, it depends on what we end up what we end up with groups. If we end up with a very, subpar group, then I think we'll see a lot of the youth play. But if we end up with a group that is going to we're going to have to show attention to it, then we're looking at it. And I do have like the pools. If you look at the three pools that we have, because there's going to be one club taken from each pool basically into your group, we should be able to handle any group in there, period.
I think rotation really this season is key. I really think like Salah needs to like I'm sorry, but sometimes I feel like Salah acts like a spoiled brat sometimes in regards to like getting taken off.
Mhm.
My guy, you need to sit down. You need to save yourself. Like
Yeah,
I think Klopp needs to have that conversation with him. Is like you're getting there in age. I need to
Yeah.
protect you. You're like, you know what I mean? Like some of these players need to be protected. I think Jota needs to be protected. I know everyone wants him. I know everyone wants him to start. I understand he's deadly in front of goal, but it's like he hasn't had an injury-ridden season in like 8 years. He's injured.
No, and I get that.
He's injured
It's
every
also,
season.
but you also think that you as a player, and Chainsaw, you can attest to this as well. Like you as a player, you always want to play. At least I always wanted to play regardless. I always want to play as much as I can.
Yep.
And I get that sometimes you have to have a coach or have a player or the coach primarily that's going to put the player's best interest in mind. But yet, you see how it is. I had a graph yesterday up that showed our playing time or the playing time of a lot of these players. And if you looked at it at the very top of the graph, nearly 100% of the playing time available was given to Virgil, Allison, and Mo. Okay. And yet, you said it alone, Virgil's came back actually from a really devastating injury, yet he still continued to log hours, log minutes that he had.
Oh yeah,
that's ridiculous, man.
And
people don't talk about that enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's not right. That's not right, man.
That's on Klopp. We have to protect Diaz as well. We can't lose Diaz.
Before we go into this,
have I asked you about what you think about the Diaz thing with Saudi? Have I asked you yet?
Okay, I don't think you have, but I think that if I do have an answer for that, that is one insulting. 50 million, whatever they're offering, that's if you're flexing your big bad, Saudi Arabian club about to try to purge and pounce on these Prem stars, to take away one of our potentially biggest stars on our club, that's insulting to come with 50 million. I think that's less than what do we pay for him?
47.
Okay, so you think we want 3 million in change of a profit? Come on, that's insulting.
And they probably won't pay us up front. They're probably gonna do it in installments.
Yeah, and then they want to do it in installments? No way. That's insulting. That's one of those things where even if you picked up the phone and you heard him say 50 million, you're like, hello. You know what I mean? That's insulting. But all right, let's answer these two questions, and then we'll go into the three players that you brought up. So I was looking at Robbie's question was, how does Harvey Elliott fit into this team? That's a really positive, really really deep question. I think Elliott had a I'll allow for the panel to answer too, but I think Elliott had a role in this club, a solid role in this club, obviously with the minutes, because if you saw the chart that I brought up before, his minutes out of all the youth, he was the highest ranked percentage-wise of getting minutes on the club, okay, as a youth player. But towards the back end of the year, you saw his minutes decrease, and you saw his inclusion in the lineups decrease as well. So I don't know exactly where he fits in with this club per se, especially considering we just brought two midfielders that are not going to allow for him to really, push in front of to get minutes, and with the emergence of Ben Doak, who I'm very high on, that right wing position might be a fight for him and Ben Doak to fight for, just to be that backup. And we all see how many minutes that Mo plays, So what are your thoughts?
I think he had it, like you said, he had a chance or he had a place in the squad. I think bringing in Sabazalai, it's over for. I don't see him. Sabazalai is pretty much Harvey Elliott but better, and he plays the position that Harvey Elliott plays, which is the 8 and the right wing.
Right.
I don't see him playing.
Wow.
Maybe in Europa League. I don't see how, especially with a league. The Premier League is known for pace and power.
Mm-hmm.
That's the league. That's the league we play in, right? Pace and power.
Right.
Harvey doesn't have the pace or power to play in the right wing.
I think he doesn't have the physical, as in he's not physically intimidating.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the pace either.
Right.
And then in midfield you have to have people we criticize Trent and worry about Trent playing in midfield because of his defensive awareness, right? Mm-hmm. Harvey Elliott doesn't have him. He has no defensive awareness whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on one side, we can't sit there and say, well, there's a place for Harvey in midfield, when we sit there and say that there isn't a place for Trent in midfield. Doesn't make sense
Right.
to me.
No, that's a valid point.
You know what I mean? So I don't know where he fits in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Chainsaw?
I'm going to say if Carvalho can't make it to this team, I'm surprised how Elliott was ahead of him in the pecking order in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And now in this situation, he doesn't make it to the team. He could be a rotational player in the Europa League and the League Cup. But I think the best option for him is to be loaned out as well. I know we can't do that because we're losing too many players now.
Yeah.
But loan him out to a Fulham, back to where he was, or somewhere else, where he could like develop his body, his awareness, knowledge of the game, and so forth elsewhere. Then come back to Liverpool because he's not going to start, and I don't think he fits into the team.
Mm.
And he'll be a massive downgrade if Dom gets injured, and then he'll get more fans slating him for like not performing like Dom.
For certain.
And he's too young to be like, targeted like that. So I think the best option for him is to be loaned out. But if he's there, then be a rotational player.
And then the next question was question for the panel: are we screaming for a DM in the team? I think that's self-evident.
When he means like we, does he mean like us, or does he mean like LFC, like Klopp and them? Because
Ravi, that's a good question, Ravi. Are you asking about are we screaming for it, is Klopp screaming for it, or is LFC screaming for it, or
because like
FSG?
I know we want a DM, but I don't know if Klopp wants a DM. He's waiting. Like, where's our DM?
No. Klopp wants a DM because if Fabinho left, I think Henderson would have been our DM.
Yeah.
Because Henderson's
that's crazy to me.
I know that's crazy, but Klopp would have thought of that in his mind, in my opinion. But because we're losing both
I think that's
of them,
one of the reasons. I was going to say real quick. I think that's one of the reasons why he wanted Milner, to be honest, to have that option to have that fill-in role player for the club. To be honest with you, that obviously he's like a Swiss Army knife that can play pretty much anywhere. But he can play that DM role as well. He can go in and fill in for the Hendo role or even the Flacco role at times.
And we've seen Henderson play 6 before. I mean, it wasn't great, but we've seen him play in that role. And I think Klopp would have made him the new Milner. So he fills in those gaps when there's no players there. But because we're losing both Hendo and Fab at the same time, he's probably screaming for a 6 now.
Mm-hmm. I think the reason, the same things again. I know we're talking about the DM position, but this is regarding Elliott. This is a good comment, I believe, in that he's young. There are enough games for him to develop, to get more game time and continue to develop. Because I think all of us, when we saw him initially from the very beginning of the season, when he came in, people were thinking that he was like the next big star. That is something that you can't deny. Okay, he came out in gangbusters, being able to, win over the hearts of a lot of these fans. But then that injury obviously is a major setback, and then it's going to obviously take a little bit of time for him to get his footing back and get his mindset back. The biggest thing I thought about him, and at least something I believe, big up Asian Pops, which was so telling and really, really cool about it, or cool about his development, is that it didn't seem to me, now you might have a different opinion, but it didn't seem to me that he thought about the injury. He was going into tackles, he was going into that. I think that we spoke about this before, Chris, that kinesiology, I think it's called, right?
The study of human movement.
Yeah, like the idea that the fear of being injured again from
transferphobia.
Yeah. Okay.
Kinesiology is the study of human movement.
Oh, my fault.
Transferphobia is the fear of getting re-injured. Yeah.
Yeah. So that and that's something that a lot of people put on Virgil van Dijk, for instance, with his somewhat timidness to sometimes go into a lot of those tackles. That was already his mindset already, in my opinion. But all the same, getting back to Elliott, when you had Elliott, it didn't seem like he was scared to go into this. It didn't seem like he really thought about the injury. He's still going, full blast into tackles or running at full speed, or you still saw a lot of those those bursts of speed or anything like that he was trying to get out of his play. Do you disagree with Elliott or?
No, I don't disagree, but I think you could that's youthfulness, man.
Yeah.
That's
a difference. Sure, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like it's like I think me and you, we're Americans, right? So I think transfer phobia is what baseball players call yips.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean,
yeah.
and there's no cure to yips. There is no cure to transfer phobia. It just happens. It just something just triggers in your head and it snaps out of it. And I think I do think because me and you spoke about it, I think on Twitter one day on messages. I do think Van Dijk has it, or has it, or had it, and I hope he's seeking the right help. I hope he's speaking to a therapist or something like that to help him through this process because there's a lot of signs last season where he just gave up. You know what I mean? So hopefully he snaps out of it, in my opinion.
This is Virgil you're talking about.
Yeah, Virgil and
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
I honestly think Virgil has transphobia, in my opinion.
You know what? I can't necessarily go against that. Being someone that has that phobia myself, considering it took a long time for me to get. I had a bad injury in my life, and it took a hot minute for me to even think about stepping on the basketball court again. And then great, you're on the playing field, or you're on that pitch again. But now to get past that hurdle, that mental hurdle of trusting your body to do the things that you did before that's a difficult hurdle to make sometimes.
Exactly.
So let's see. Jake is saying fans don't need to put extra burdens on the youth players. Brzezicki and Elliott can play ball, and they know they are playing for LFC because Elliott is a boyhood LFC fan. Okay.
There will be extra burdens because you're playing for Liverpool, regardless.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we all. I think
there's no stopping that.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, Chainsaw. Like I think we all put it. Unfortunately, there is a heavy burden once you put on that red.
Heavy weight on the shirt.
Yeah.
When you put the shirt on. Yeah.
Robbie's saying, to clarify what he was talking about, he was talking about Liverpool, Klopp, the team in general for a DM. That's what he was saying. Again, big ups to Bejan Pops. Bejan Pops is representing Bejan Reds TV, great channel, by the way. Chris has been on that channel. I don't know, Chainsaw, if you contributed.
I've been on there once.
Okay, yeah. Big ups to Bejan.
I was on it when Chris was on it.
Chris,
he was. Yeah.
Chris is definitely. I was on one episode with Chris actually. We had a really fun episode.
I think we were in the first call-in show. I think.
I
think me and you were in their first call-in show. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, that's one of the major things. This is why I appreciate everyone that's joined in today and has joined in and out, whatever. But if we as Reds, if we support each other, we represent that we are truly mighty. And that's I love the fact that we got some true Reds on the panel, some true Reds in the chat as well. And if you're a rival, salutations, big up.
12 man. I was on I think it was Endsman TV, I think his channel on Monday, and I was having a bad day on Monday, so I went hard on Henderson.
Okay.
Awesome. Not like that. Come on. I mean, like I was saying wild stuff basically because I was so upset on the day, but obviously I take most of it back. But the reason why it was like that was because Elliott was running around like a headless chicken, and he needed an experienced player to support him. And Henderson was letting him down, hence why he wasn't performing.
Yeah. So
if he had a solid backup, or at least DM were performing, then he would have been looking like a better player. There wouldn't be a question mark coming into this season.
Okay. You know what's funny? Not to cut you off on that sake, and then you can continue to elaborate. Is that then that statement that has been poised out there in a couple of different forums by saying Flacco with legs, Flacco surrounded with some legs around him is a different player per se, or even some of our other youth. You can go as far as Virgil van Dijk, or senior players. I mean, is that statement not a valid statement then? By saying if you provide some type of legs around them, as in players that are going to be able to, carry their own weight as well, doesn't that mean that you could possibly see some type of a, difference in their play?
I don't. I understand where people come from. I just don't agree with it. I just feel like you should be able to carry your own weight. If let's say, for example, we wanted to keep Fabinho, we will have to change the way we play to 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 accommodate Fabinho because of his lack of legs now. So I just don't. I don't know. I'm all for people carrying their own weight and stuff. I do understand this is a team sport and we do have to help each other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like we're a player being injured away from like going into crisis, in my opinion. Because if
right now, yeah, for sure.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like, for example, like the inverted role, right? And I use this as an example. Last season, towards the end of the season, Konate was an injury away of it going to shit. Excuse my language. That inverted system thing. And we would have, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I think players need to carry their own weight. And it's just that simple. I know it's a bit harsh and stuff, but it's just I'm not in that level of yours yet as far as the positivity yet. But
you gotta be like water.
Yeah, you got to be like water, man. But I don't know. I think players need to carry their own weight and stuff.
Right.
At the same time, it is a team sport, so you got to help each other out. But I don't know, like buying players to accommodate another player, and it's like I don't know.
I understand your point on that. How about
I think people just have the fear of letting people go. I think.
I know you call me sentimental. I understand that.
Yeah, no. In best sport, though, right? You're sentimental. You like your players and you want to keep players, but it's like at some point you have to let the player go. You know what I mean? It's just
I could get that.
People come and go in life. That's just life. You know what I mean? It's just
you
know what I mean? Fabinho has dropped a level and stuff, and like this chance of 40 million for him, we can't let that go.
No, yeah, that's why you don't hear me saying, look, and Chainsaw, I want your opinion too on this, but you don't hear me saying, hey, you know what, we need to turn it down because I want to see, Flacco get another shot or Flacco get the right send off, which is all. I mean, the latter is a little bit more of the reason why one of the only reasons why I would even slightly hesitate. But even that point of when I heard the figure, I was still like, I'm all in, because 40. You're not going to be able to get your money back on a player like this that is approaching 30 and is getting off. You're getting offered a sizable fee for that player. I'm not going to say turn that down simply so he can get the honor guard. Okay, I'm not. So yeah, I'm cool with that. But let's be honest, it would have been nice for two very integral pieces of our rise and this Klopp era to have gotten an honor guard, brigade to say thank you, to be able to let the fans at Anfield, to be able to say thank you for your service, rather than, all of a sudden be just go out the back door in the summer window in preseason.
Yeah, look at Mane, for example. He deserved a send off. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he was part of the parade, so I guess he had this mini send off.
Right.
But what I was trying to say about Elliott running around like a headless chicken was that Chris is right. You have to have your own weight. You can't, be carried by others. But a youth player would need a little bit of support. And if Henderson and Fabinho have been so poor, that's why Elliott was more of a highlight, seeing him run around, be not defensively aware, because Henderson and Fabinho weren't defensively aware. They were causing gaps, forgetting about players, and letting Van Dijk get exposed. So we need a 6 that's serious and can hold his own weight. Hence why I'm happy that Fab and Hendo have moved on, basically.
So wait, let's get into these three players real quick, so that we can kind of see, because I know that Chris wanted to do that, and then I'm going to pose a couple of different questions from the chat, and then we're going to wrap up here. This is the player that you had me look up. So we're looking at right here. We're looking at your Nicholas Dorsch, right?
Yeah, he's German.
Okay. What is it that and I'll allow for you to take us through these three players since you're more of a knowledgeable person on these three. What walk us through what really made you interested in this player?
Their defensive stats. So I was looking at what McAllister offered and what Szoboszlai offered, right? And when you look at the spectrum, they offer different things, but what they don't offer, I think, at a higher level is the defensive part of the game. So if we're gonna have McAllister and Szoboszlai as our eights, we need like I said, a specific six that can cover what they don't offer, and that's the defensive side of the game. So I was looking at players at a reasonable price that offer that, and as you can tell with the stats, look at the tackling, look at the interceptions, look at the blocks.
That's nice.
Look at the blocks, look at the clearances. It's better than what Fabinho has been offering. I'm assuming last season. So
what team does he play for again?
I think it's a German team. I think if I'm correct, 1 second, I'll find out for you right now. But that was the aim for the players that I mentioned earlier.
Those stats are nice. I'm not going to lie. That's
And he's young, so
3.9. I mean, he's obviously whatever league he's playing, he's in the 99th percentile when it comes to tackles. That's
Augsburg in the Bundesliga.
He's playing in the Bundesliga. Okay, to be putting up stats like that, that's exceptional. 99th percentile in tackles, 88th percentile in blocks, 87th percentile in clearances.
And look at his successful take-on, 64 compared to Fabinho's 7.
Now, how about this though? His passing does not wow me. I understand we're not looking for a goal.
No, yeah.
But passing wise, that's possibly where I would stutter a little bit. Defensively, absolutely, but I don't know how. Usually, when you're not that great of a passer, or successful take-ons, it looks like it's decent. It means that you're probably not a great dribbler, much less a great passer. Obviously, by some of those points.
Yeah, he's 20. He's 25, so I don't see him improving drastically in passing. So maybe that might not be the best choice for us as a club. But I think defensively, I think he offers something that we don't have currently.
Okay. Let's look at your next inclusion then. So this is Zadal. What was it about him that made you?
Same thing. Is just youthfulness? Is like youthfulness and his defensive stats. Like like I said, look at like the successful take on. Look at the tackling. Look at the interceptions. Like it's and he's younger. He's a lot younger than Fabinho. So, and look at non-penalty goals as well. So he offers you something else that Fabinho doesn't offer as well.
Yeah, the tackles 94 percentile. Looking at 74 percentile in interceptions, 42nd percentile in blocks. Aerial wins is 0.63. I didn't take a look. What was his? Let me take a quick peek real quick. 55.
It's better than the player we're watching right now.
Okay, because that's something too that I want a player that's going to be domineering in those aerial wins, just as you pointed out earlier in this chat with
we need size in midfield.
Yeah, we do, especially considering Dom is a decent sized player,
like 6'1", I think, right?
Yeah, but I know McAllister isn't a tall player. I know Bajcetic isn't a tall player. A lot of those, especially if we're going to be dealing with set pieces or things or corners, that when those players are going to have to be marking other players and try to win those aerial battles, that's a concern. So, but it looks like it looks like successful take-ons, 99 percentile. That's pretty decent. And Youssef plays for what team now?
I know he's French, and if I'm correct, I think he plays for Monaco. If I'm correct.
Okay, so this is in League One. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Seems like an interesting player.
Yeah, I'll have to tell. I'll do a look on him again.
Oh no, he plays in Portugal. My bad.
Okay, Portugal. Okay.
French player. He's 24 years old.
I actually rate, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I actually rate the Portugal league over the French league. To be honest,
It's a very technical league. Like you know, what I mean, it's a very.
It's a new hotbed. It's obviously the new hotbed for players per se. You know, being looked at. Okay, now this is the last one. This is Mohamed Kamara. What about Mohamed was what made you really feel that he should be included in the discussion?
He's part of that RB scouting group, man. They know how to grab players. They know how to scout players. Like look at his passes. Like look at his pass completions. Look at like successful take-ons. Look at his progressive passes. They're better than any other player that I mentioned to you.
Right.
He's you know what I mean. Look at his tackling. Look at his blocks. Like
he's definitely the most rounded player that you brought up out of the three. I would say for sure. As in, looks like he has some decent offensive skills, but also obviously is relatively decent.
How old is he?
Is he not tall or something? Because a lot of the guys, other than Nicholas, they all were pretty low on the aerial wins. Is he not? He must not be that tall. I take it.
1 second. So right now he's playing for Monaco. Oh, he's 5'9".
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm taller than him.
Yeah, I know. That could be an issue. That could be an issue.
But he's only 23 years old though, so there is room for him to improve.
Right.
You know, and that's the one thing too about Klopp. Whether we like him or not, he does improve players.
He does. Some people don't give him the credit for it.
I can't take that away from
him. Credit for it.
I can't take that away from him. Like whether we like him or not, whether we think he deserves to be in the club or not, the players he brings in, he improves them.
Facts.
Do they improve when they leave? And other clubs, no. But when they're with Liverpool, they improve. So that's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
And plus 23 and 24 years old is the range that we normally sign these kind of players. So when we signed Jota and Diaz and other players, they've been around that 24, 23, even 25 age range, which Klopp and Liverpool is fine with.
But for some reason, right? Like I mentioned these players, but for some reason, for that sixth position, I want someone with a bit more experience. Yeah, like, but it's like I can't find one. Like I don't like we can say Kimmich, but Kimmich I think doesn't have the legs or has too much mileage in his legs for us. Like who else? Paulinho. I think he's too expensive.
How do you feel about this guy? How about Jay Kisman as a suggestion?
Kudos, but he's not a six though. Kudos plays for Ajax. He's like more of like a right winger, 8 kind of.
But you could convert him though, a bit like how Wijnaldum was converted into quite deep.
Right. If he's playing right wing, he's definitely not playing DM. But I mean,
like he's like, and if I'm correct too, he had a massive knee injury as well.
Oh, well, yeah.
I think he got it when he played the Champions League game with us years ago, if I'm correct. But he's a good player though. Like Kudos is a nice player. I think he's a Ghanaian too. He's from Ghana, I think.
You know what? Since we're talking on it, let me just bring up this little presentation of what I had from before. Let's see if I can bring this up real quick.
Whilst you get that up, I think Declan Rice would have been really good. Not for 105 million, but like
absolutely. I just think that, like, again,
105 million.
You all have to be realist in the sense of like the price tag, transfer price tag is one thing, you know, and that's getting the price tags bought is one thing, but then to actually have the money to pay for the player is another. Our wage bill has to be something that we keep in mind as being realistic, you know, and that's something that often players are like, oh, let's get this player, and I'm just like the reasons why, again, I was bringing up Kimmich and De Jong. I love both of those players. Would love to see either one of those players, if not both, play for this club. But can you imagine if both of them played? That's almost $1 million in wages a week that you'd be spending for both of those players. That's just not necessarily going to be something you see happen. So wait, let me see if I can get pull it up like this. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull this up for you guys. I'm going to show you this one thing. Since we're talking about youth and peak and experience, right? Let me pull this up. I have actually. Whoops. And again, this is something that I showed on the stream yesterday, but I'll bring it up again because I think it's relevant to what you're both saying is relevant to what some of the chat is talking about as well, when it comes to what you're looking at with these players. All right, let me pull this up, make sure. All right. So this is basically, there we go. Pop it up. And I'll make it a little bigger for you guys so you can see it better. Whoops, that's a little too big. That's what she said. But what it is here is this is showing, and I can just go off of this graph, but this is showing the team. And we're talking about youth, peak, and experience. And what you'll see is that 24 to 28, maybe 29 range as being your peak years for playing, and then obviously experience, the senior players being to the right and youth players being to the left. I circled, this one has the ones I had circled because those are the players that are leaving, those 5 players. And Nabi's not on this list again because Nabi played so little percentage of minutes for this club that he didn't even get put onto this graph. That's sad. Big up. I hope the best for Nabi, you know.
I heard he injured his abductor.
Yeah, he's injured again. I hope RB doesn't hold it against us that we passed on a lemon to them. But no lemon law, hopefully, going on. But yeah, so what I was showing in this is that if you see towards the right with Fabinho, that's Fabinho, that's Bobby, that's Henderson, and then Milner being the four circle players to the right. And as you go up the graph, that's how much the percentage of playing time that they get. That's 4 players right there. You can see it's well over Simicast, well over Thiago, obviously, because he was hurt so much. It's over Matip. It's over Hata, who was hurt so much. Phillips, who I think should play more, but doesn't. He's down there. And then, again, this is for players that are experienced players. The only 2 experienced players on there or 5 experienced players on there. The 3 that we see at the top, they get all the playing minutes. They're not moving around pretty much. Thiago, I think, would be further up the line if he wasn't injured so much. I don't understand. Matip.
It's crazy looking at this graph how Luis Diaz was injured for majority of the season.
Yeah, and he's still getting playing time.
He's up there. And you look at a player that been crying out for more minutes, like Nat Phillips. Simicast should be playing more. And they're all the way down there. Like, it's just, wow.
Diaz played more minutes technically than Robbo.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's wow.
That's pretty crazy, and especially since you were talking about his injury.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Gomez has played a considerable amount of minutes, considering, and you wouldn't have thought that, but that's
I didn't think that. Wow. Yeah.
So again, this is a chart. This is a graph that was presented by StatsBomb, and it's also a athletic chart. They have some great articles, and so you see Harvey Elliott way over here, and I can possibly you see Harvey Elliott to the left. That's the one youth player that I was saying that other than obviously Trent, but he was the one youth element or one youth player that gets minutes for our club, and that's Harvey Elliott. But then you're going to get down to Nunez, you get down to even Carvalho, who got some minutes despite the fact of what people said. You know, apparently he got some minutes. Cujo was way down on the list. And then we get into some real like Bichette, Konate, Clark, who which is kind of interesting. But this is the squad's playing time for Liverpool in Premier League in 22-23. Okay. And this is 22-23, keep in mind too. So like, you know, if you're looking at this, where would you want that player to look at? You know, where is it that we're seeing that player coming in? We're obviously going to need to replace some experienced players, considering the majority of the players that are leaving are 4 experienced players that get good quality minutes. You know, and that's why I'm stressing. We got to bring in. I'm down with us bringing in a youthful player. We're going to wrap up here pretty soon, next few minutes. But I'm down with us getting a youth player. But we obviously need some experience. Do you agree?
Hell yeah.
Chainsaw, you down?
I completely agree, and they have to be 75% around that Fabinho mark. They have to play at the bare minimum.
Yeah. Like as in some Fab style minutes.
Yeah, minutes. They have to be on that 75 plus, because anything below that, then we've got problems.
Yeah.
We got to find the right balance. We got to find the balance of right age, experience, and then doesn't have a lot of mileage in the legs. So to find that,
it's impossible.
Who is that player? Real quick, if we can do a deep dive, I would love. Apparently, maybe I have to do a deep dive on that one. But think about that. Chances are, if you're experienced, you got and you're a quality player, it's probably because you are a star and therefore you play quite a bit. And unless you're on a team like a Bayern or a Real Madrid or something like that, where you've got so many stars that you can get somewhat, platooned in and out of the lineup to properly manage your minutes. What player would you say can be that player?
There is one player, which I'm surprised I didn't mention it to you.
I didn't even put myself big.
What's his name?
Do you have a suggestion, Chainsaw? And to the chat as well. Think about that. Really consciously think about it. Think of a player that has experience, isn't like, as we were stating, Flacco doesn't have his legs washed, isn't like, high on mileage, and is a player that can contribute, like a star level player that can honestly contribute.
I have one.
All right,
but it's going to be difficult to get. And he doesn't have as much experience. That's the only thing he lacks. But Tuchemeni, because if we could bring him away from Real Madrid, I think he'll be the perfect player. He's young. He's talented. He's got a little bit of experience with Real Madrid and before as well. And I think he would be, at the moment, my star player to go for. But I don't know if it's realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I just wrote the player's name in the chat. He was, I think, the Portugal leagues. He's in the team of the season for them, for that league. Him.
Okay.
I don't think he'll be that expensive in my opinion, but he's in the right age group in my opinion.
Right. Okay.
But the issue is he's African. So
we're back to that.
We're back to the AFCON thing.
Right.
But I'm trying to think of every league. So Portugal, I think it's him. The South American League, they're all young, so I wouldn't recommend anyone. The French League, Verratti, but he's too injury prone and he's old.
I'm off on that.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to think who else. Fofana, for Monaco.
Oh, for Monaco. Okay, that's not for Chelsea, but okay.
Oh no, like I heard he ACL, right? Apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's done in the same knee too. Back-to-back ACL injuries. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
If we would have got Gundogan from Man City before he went to Barca, I know it would be difficult because they're rivals, but if we could have lured him in back to Klopp and him played that DM role, I know he plays a little bit more forward, but I think he could play that.
I never.
He went on a free though. I thought didn't he go on a free?
But I'm pretty sure. Like I think a couple of months ago when they asked him where he's gonna go, he said like, I don't know yet, but it's not Liverpool. So he.
Oh wow, he said that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why?
Yeah, I'm gonna find the link.
Fund that guy then. Fund him, yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm gonna find the clip and I'm gonna send it to you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe he was joking.
Maybe he was joking. Like him him and Klopp are close. So like,
Yeah, no, for him to say that's
wild.
some savage stuff.
because it's crazy. I remember when because I was upset too because I remember the interview. He had an interview when he first came to Man City, and he was like, "Oh, did you speak to anyone before you come to the league?" He's like, "Oh, I spoke to Klopp," and I'm like, "You spoke to Klopp? Klopp should have brought your ass to Liverpool. What you mean?
Exactly.
Like, what's that about? Like, what is that about?" So I know that they're pretty close. So he probably was joking around or something like that, but
Still, though, man, that's rough.
that's cold blooded right there. That's
It is.
That's something I would do, to be honest.
But it does definitely go to tell you that, hey, there is a lack of quality DMs. We can say that, a lack of seriously quality DMs that aren't. I mean, like, look, I get people might going to say, "Oh, well, Rodri." Yes, okay, I get it. Rodri is definitely last year alone. He's shown some exceptional abilities.
He's the best 6 in the world, right? In your opinion, is he the best 6 in the world right now?
Currently, yes.
Yeah,
there was a time when I thought Fab was, to be honest with you.
Yeah, oh no, I agree as well. Like, but I think he's the best 6 in the world right now.
I think Kimmich is the best 6 in the world. I just think
Really?
Bayern Munich is a mess of a club at the moment. But if Kimmich went to Liverpool, I know you say his legs aren't the same, but trust me, on the ball,
now technically
Rodri can't speak to him.
He's different gravy, yeah. Technically, he is.
And that's what we need. I mean,
leadership too.
Exactly. So I think Kimmich, if we did sign him, even though his legs are kind of gone, we still got a couple new midfielders like McAllister and Dom. So there is, room for him to lay back, play the quarterback role, and especially if you had Thiago, Kimmich, Trent, and Dom in one team. Oh, we're cooking. And Robertson, obviously,
that's saucy. For sure.
Yeah, that is saucy. Like, you can't take the ball away from them. That's saucy.
Exactly. I don't know if Kimmich is realistic though.
Yeah.
He is realistic. Apparently, Bayern are willing to sell him and Goretzka. Like, they're trying to like change their whole midfield setup. Apparently,
Goretzka would be not bad.
No, I don't like Goretzka. Goretzka. All right, I wanted Goretzka when he was on a free from Schalke. That was years ago. Now I don't know. He has too much injury problems and stuff. Gordon Ramsay, we cooking? Yeah, man. We cooking. We would have been cooking. In Spain, there is a Spanish guy. He plays for Real Sociedad. What's his name? Zoo whatever. But he doesn't want to leave Real Sociedad. But I think he has like a $60-something million release clause, but he doesn't want to leave Real Sociedad, so I don't see that happening either. So yeah, it's like the market for sixes right now.
There's only, that's what I'm trying to get at, is that it's not really that much out there. I know there's a player that plays for Torino, but again, this is something, and I don't want to alienate my Italian fan base.
In Italy?
Yeah, in Italy. But there's a player that plays for Torino in Italy named Ricci, Samuel Ricci. He's a decent player, but he's young.
He's Italian. I know who he is. I know who he is. He's like 23, I think.
Yeah, he plays the DM. It's a super decent player, I think. What's his name? I want to say he's Bamba, right? Doesn't he play for Belgium?
Bamba?
You know what I'm talking about? He plays Club Brugge, and he plays for, I believe, the Belgian national team.
No, I don't know. I don't keep track.
Yeah, there's really not that many. There's really not that many. Maybe Danilo, isn't that one of them too?
Danilo?
Danilo, right? Danilo. He's a Brazilian. Yeah.
And where does he play?
He plays for Palmeiras, or how do you pronounce it? Palmeiras.
Ooh. Yeah, he's nice. He's nice though, but he's not of the age though.
Well,
And
yeah, he's
and
not
then
of that 28 age, right?
yeah,
Exactly.
but
That's
and
the
then you
thing.
gotta think about it too. The
And
transition
neither
from
were the two players I said earlier. They're both all
yeah,
young players,
yeah, and
and
then
that's why I'm getting at the point. Of like, yeah,
and
go
you gotta
ahead.
think about it too the transition from South America to the Premier League, like how the players gonna transcend to that. You know what I mean? Like how long is it
You're
gonna
right.
take to get to it? Like I can sit here all day and talk about South American players all day, but you gotta be realistic. Like that's a big jump. That's why typically South Americans go to Spain, go to Portugal, and then they make that jump to the Premier League
Right.
because they need that step and stuff. It's very rare that you get players that can do that jump and be transcendent. And there's a
Mhm.
few players that have done it, but it's a very few players, you know.
Right.
So
I was gonna say the last one I would possibly suggest, and he's again, I don't. How old is
like
Ugarte?
20, he's like 22.
Ugarte,
That would have been my guy right there. But
yeah. And it would have been nice because that would have been the Uruguayan, player to kind of like, cement Darwin into feeling at home.
he's a bit rash though in how he plays though. Like he's a bit
Oh, is
rash.
he?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I like that though. Like break a leg and stuff. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
that's the again. We're going to wrap up here, but that's again what I'm trying to stress is that like when you look out there, there's really not much when it comes to experience, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to obviously star quality in the sense of being able to play defensively or be able to contribute offensively. And then again, just as you're stating on some of these other players, the ability, like as in for my Brazilian shout earlier, Danilo, the ability to be able to be a part of a club and be able to mesh with that club. And we all know how Klopp likes to slowly but surely integrate players primarily into the system because the system is a difficult system to run. And it's not even a difficult system to run. It's a difficult system because it's one of the few, his system isn't played by other coaches around the world primarily. And I don't think it's being like, guys, I don't think the Klopp system is being run in Brazil or, it's not, you're not seeing many clubs run it in France, for instance, or something along those lines.
12
So
man.
it's an interesting
I've got
question.
couple things for DM, a solution. First one is, I know DePaul's kind of fallen off, but DePaul and McAllister in midfield, if you could get DePaul, him playing as a six. I know Chris won't agree, but I'm just trying to formulate the World Cup winning Argentinian team, minus Messi, if that's possible. But there's the other solution is we could just play Trent as a DM. I know Trent isn't great defensively, but if I think if Kimmich could do it, Trent can do it because Trent's got the technical ability. He's played a defensive role, which is a right back, and I just think if Trent plays in mid DM, we could control the ball, and he could be that solution for DM. I know it sounds like a left field shout, but
Right.
I think Trent could be a world class DM. I think he's mature enough. He's got enough understanding.
That is definitely a bold shout. You think that the player that gets lambasted for his defensive skills or a lack of defensive skills would be able to play DM? That's what you're
I
saying?
think he could prove people wrong because I don't think it's too difficult to learn to be defensively solid.
no,
I think,
I don't know. I think it's different though. A six is a different type of animal because like I don't
but have
I,
you?
but I don't disagree with you. I think he has the ability to, but I don't think there isn't someone in the club to teach him the role. Like like you know what I mean. Like it's like if Trent's gonna be a midfielder now, like who is he learning from?
But he's learned from Fabinho. He's seen Henderson. He's seen Thiago. He's seen different type of midfielders. So he's
Hmm.
learned from those guys, and he's bulked up this season. If you've seen the
No,
pictures,
he has bulked
he,
up. Yeah.
yeah, he's bulked up. He looks serious. He's got an England place to fight for. He needs to prove himself that he's defensively solid as well.
Mhm.
And I think he could play that DM role. He's got all the natural ability to do that,
Mhm.
especially on the ball. Off the ball, I think he that'll be Klopp can motivate him to play that role, in my opinion.
I
He
think
Right.
could
I
prove
think
people wrong.
I think it will work, right?
That's a bold shout.
Which
I've
is a
done some
crazy-
bold shots, Chainsaw.
Because there's
That
no
is a
DMs we can find that fit all the criteria, so we might as well chuck it.
Now, you know what I think? I think it will work only if we had Alonso as our manager.
Ooh, I agree.
Who's the best to learn from than him for that role?
That's a good holler. I mean, this guy right here, I put in the on the screen here. I think
He plays for Salzburg, right? He plays for Salzburg, right?
Yeah, I know the kid. He's a good player. And again, I think that I do like this other guy that plays in the Brazilian league that I spoke of earlier. But again, I think he's like a Fabinho style player, but he's just got more of a bulkier frame than Fabinho when it comes to the physicality of it all. But
this Henderson news is kind of confusing me now, man. So apparently the fees agreed, right? Everything is good. But then now it's Henderson will spend the next few days with his young family deliberating what to do. Nothing is decided. What the hell does that mean? What the hell's going on now?
Like I said, there's nothing until you see that person put up the shirt. Hey, it could be as simple as, hey, that he gets cold feet and just doesn't want to do it, or maybe his wife's like, I like living in England. I don't want to live in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but don't you think that's immature? Don't you think that's that's a conversation you should have before apparently rumors, right? Because this is all ifs and buts, right?
Right.
Before accepting apparently the personal terms.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
My wife
but there's been players. I remember there's a story about how I forget which player it was too, but there's a story of how there was a player that was supposed to go, I believe, to Newcastle or was already like linked and was supposed to already through the door basically, and Sir Alex went to the airport, picked up the player, and within that ride from the airport to his hotel, convinced that player to come and play for Manchester United.
That's
like
great.
there's that's just how it is. People are people. They can be fickle and everything else.
I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I don't think Henderson can turn back from this. I think he has to go.
Oh no, I think you're right about that. I think a lot of us, even myself included, have now gotten. Hey, I mean, I've already gotten to that place with Fabinho. I'm easily at that place now with Henderson. Is saying, look, my mindset is already adjusted to you not being a part of this club, and now we're figuring out how we go on without you.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's too late. It's too late for the ifs and buts and maybes and. Nah, man, you made a decision.
You made a decision.
Yeah,
hey, that's just done is done.
It's done, yeah.
But hey, you know what? We're gonna wrap up here because I don't want to get too deep into this. Sorry, we're at 2:45. But I appreciate Chris, Angel, appreciate you.
No, man, you know me, man.
Joining and contributing. That's mad love. Chainsaw, Sam. I appreciate you for joining as well. Thank you for contributing your insights and definitely your knowledge base of what you believe and what you'd like to see is important.
One thing, it's Sam and then it's A-H, as in that's my middle name starts with A, and then H is my start of my surname, so it's not Sam R. So
okay, my bad. Okay, you're right. Sam A-H. Okay,
but you can call me Sam from now on.
Okay.
Yo, Sam, your nickname is Chainsaw, based on what? Chainsaw Man or something?
Yes. How did you know, Chris?
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Yeah, Chainsaw Man is.
Yeah, man. Yeah. On my free time, I watch everything on my free time.
Watch a little manga here and there. What's up? What's up?
Chris, would you do a channel by any chance, or? I'm just, not.
I wouldn't mind, but I just don't know what to talk. Like, I don't know what I would like talk about. Like, I can talk about anime. I can talk about football. I can like
everything. Yeah,
I'll talk about everything. To be honest, like honestly, like I was thinking of doing a channel, but like more of like doing like giveaways for like fans. So like I'll do like how like Coppers does like all time starting 11, and then I'll be the judge, and then like let's say for example like whoever wins, I'll like give them a gift card or something, or like do something like that type thing, and do kind of like be more like a community kind of friendly channel type thing. So I don't know.
I'm shocked that Chris. I mean, I know Chainsaw Man's big, but I'm surprised And I know you're into like a lot of stuff. You got a lot of knowledge and stuff. But this
Nah,
is surprising me.
because I was in the military. So like when I was deployed, like I'll read a lot of manga and stuff. So
I see.
I know about anime is my thing, man. Like my
really?
wife, yeah, my wife's into One Piece. Like she got me into One Piece and stuff.
That's
so.
too long.
If you two are into anime, so I'm going to hit. It's not going to be this week, but I'll push to make it for next week. Then I'm doing a starting 11 anime. So basically, it'll help when we have a starting 11 for our club. But it's basically we're gonna
wait. Have you guys because I know you guys into football. Do you guys seen Blue Lock, right?
Yeah, I've seen it.
You got no.
I gotta
but
check
you
that
gotta,
out.
Oh, but you got to get into that, man. That's
really? Okay.
Oh man.
Okay.
It's
I'm a little old school when it comes to my anime. I'm like Ninja Scrolls.
This thing is.
I like Ninja Scrolls and like Akira and stuff like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
You got some taste, man.
Yeah.
It was funny because during the World Cup, right? Because like it's funny because during the World Cup, Japan was doing so well, and they were pretty much saying they're doing so well because they implemented Blue Lock.
Yeah, in the kits.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. Like it's hilarious, but you gotta like look into it and just get back to me and stuff. But,
all right, I will.
we can talk about this any other.
Share it in the private chat so I can like write it down. The name, I spell it. But what the show is going to be about is basically we're going to take you know how they did the NFTs for the players and they all had their own little superheroes or whatever characteristics of whatever. What I was going to say is we're going to take the player and say what anime character do you think this player would represent or be in like as in what his alter ego, for instance.
Okay, that's nice.
Can it be also new gen as well?
It could be it could be all do the entire anime world, manga, everything.
Perfect.
Before we leave right now, Chainsaw, what anime are you watching right now currently?
So Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. I'm
Jujutsu
watching.
Kaisen, all right. Itadori Yuji and stuff. All right.
Yeah. I just finished obviously Hell's Paradise, which I've got the mangas there. I would put the camera on, but I didn't expect to be on the show. I thought I'd be on the live chat. But yeah. So
Paradise is good too. Yeah.
For me, it's the best new gen, but again, people have their own, opinion against it. But
I like how gruesome is it. I like how gruesome it is.
Yeah, I just love all the characters. I just love the story plot. I'm obviously my name's Chainsaw, but Chainsaw's not my main. Chainsaw Man's not my main. New gen anime kind of thing. But
okay.
I don't know if you guys used to be on Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, but going way back.
Oh yeah, I used to play.
No,
don't let it fool you, man. I'm kind of old, man. I'm kind of old too, man. I used to play back in the day and stuff.
I'm definitely a little bit old. Like I'll admit, I like more like Chainsaw Man. I do like, by the way, but like
the graphics are amazing in the anime.
Cowboy Bebop, or maybe like
classic.
Yeah, like I already said, Ninja Scrolls.
Ghost in the Shell. What about Ghost in the Shell?
Oh, Ghost in the Shell is my jam for sure. The one I'm into now kind of is Vinland Saga. I don't know if you watched that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's my jam right now. Yeah.
I dropped a tear, man. Like,
I haven't gotten through it. Don't give me any spoilers.
No. Like, but when you get to the point, like I dropped like the character development of Orphan to me is like wow. Like
I'm super into that. Like I like more of the story based ones because I used to be all into comics, and I used to I've even written a screenplay for a manga. So like,
you have?
Oh yeah, for sure. I have a dope screenplay concept that I would love to be able to. If I got the right artist, oh man, it would be next level.
Nah, we got to make a show and talk about stuff like this.
Yeah, I'd be definitely down for that. Well, first you gotta, but if anything, start like figuring out who we're gonna have. Is like just look at the roster, and we gotta figure out what character we could see that player being in. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah,
and it could be new gen.
Right.
No, I could do both old and new, but I'm mostly on new. I did fall off a bit, and in terms of my love for anime, I stayed with mangas, but not for anime because I don't know. It just happens.
It's a lot to keep up, to be honest.
Yeah, there's too many good shows.
It's just too much when you have like work and you have all this stuff. It's
exactly.
You know?
Right. No, I mean, like, hey, that's not even including like the Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z and all that world. You know what I mean? Like that alone is its own world in itself. So, but yeah, all right, before we get too deep, I know.
Yeah.
Now you listen to three nerds nerds on screen here, but it's all good. It's all good. Yes, thank you for the chat, for listening in to our little nerd out session, and also for the informative session as well, equally informative, I should say, session on the DM and what we have going on for Fab and his replacement player. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing and commenting. Please, if you have anything to say or suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Again, thank you to Chris Angel. Thank you to Sam AH. Okay. Yeah,
Big up.
see you soon. You never walk alone, brothers.
Peace.
All right. Peace.